WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports Business. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Brent Stark, Sports Review, and Brian Gates.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to talk about on this Monday afternoon. A super busy weekend in the sports world with so much going on. NBA Finals, U.S. Open, College World Series, Major League Baseball weekend. Just a lot going on. And then yesterday, the massive news that the Grizzlies really kicking off the offseason in the NBA with a big-time trade sending Desmond Bane to Orlando. So a ton to get into this afternoon. But before we do any of it, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great. Hope y'all are well, and hope both you and Landon enjoyed the day with your dads, and all the dads out there had a great day. We had the U.S. Open, as always, on Father's Day, and I am happy. I really am. I am happy for J.J. Spawn. Nothing like a first-time major winner, but unlike at Augusta, all right, at Augusta National, at the Masters, who won?
Rory.
At the PGA, who won?
I don't remember. I'll be honest. Scotty? I don't know.
Scotty?
Yeah, Scotty. Okay.
Scotty won.
Yeah.
And both of those places, especially Augusta National, a supernova place to play and be around the golf course. We have it every year, but it has a big persona.
That's right.
It's got a big personality. Quail Hollow, it's no Weeping Willow. It's pretty big as well. I'm afraid if J.J. Spawn doesn't go on and win at least pretty consistently on tour, if not another major, we will look back and in 2025 we'll think Oakmont won.
No, I think you can already say Oakmont won regardless. I mean, I love J.J. Spawn. I'm thrilled that he was able to win yesterday. The story for him is really good, but I mean that was miserable. And pretty much all weekend was miserable. Then you get the rain that came in yesterday. I mean, it was watching that final sequence, from whenever they started back after the rain, it was brutal to watch. And it really wasn't fun to watch. And it wasn't good golf because of how wet and what the conditions were. And, it was just kind of who can survive out here. And J.J. Spawn was the one who was able to survive. And
you can say it was the same for everyone. It really wasn't in a couple cases. Now, he was in the last grouping, so he kind of played and persevered through the teeth of it. I know it's part of it, outdoor sport. I know all that. I know all that for anybody that wants to send me all the reasons. But just to see how self-pleased that USGA bunch can be about what they see as a test. Nobody out there is wanting, heck, pick the number you want. I don't know if anybody wants double digit under par, but that, and then with conditions, and after that they told us the rainiest, coolest May in Western PA history. Well, middle of June, it's still a chance that it might rain, and it did, and it made hitting it over into the cabbage even more difficult. I didn't think it was one fun thing about it. I'm sorry.
No, it really wasn't.
I'm J.J. Spawn's family and friends.
Sure.
They'll never forget it.
No, it was great for him.
It could go into the list of Michael Campbell, Steve Jones, and rather anonymous U.S. Open winners.
No, it certainly could. I guess his comeback is I'm a major winner, so who cares how I'm
game set match
looked back on. So it's
little man
cool
in Memphis don't really care what you think. And we will welcome him here in August as the U.S. Open champion, and with the British Open, we could be potentially looking forward. I don't know that we've ever had all four major winners here.
Really?
But because, for a lot of years, that tournament was played in later May and into June. Yeah. One or two majors hadn't even been competed yet.
Right, yeah.
And then often, even when it was later before we kind of got into world golf and now into the playoffs, we had some August dates, but still had the PGA, Glory's last shot. I would have to look and see if we have. It's maybe once since we've been World Golf playoffs, and we may not even have that this year. With it looks like Rory is in full shutdown.
Yeah, no, we'll have to wait and see. But I guess there's at least a chance, and obviously with so far no live winners, that makes you feel better about the potential of having all four here. But obviously you got to keep an eye on what Rory's doing and if he will ultimately come here. But yeah, no, it was brutal watching it yesterday afternoon. Brutal at times watching it before all the rain. But
it was
certainly after that.
That was not fun.
No.
In my opinion. And
no.
if yours is different, please let us know. Sure. We know the trade happened. We thought the Grizzlies were going to be active in this offseason. We thought the first move that would be made would involve Desmond Bain, and it was. Do you think this is the only move?
Oh, absolutely not. I think there's going to be definitely more moves. I think there are going to be moves involving the pieces that the Grizzlies got in return with this trade. I don't know whether it's moving somewhere else in the draft or just moving out of the first round completely. And it's just a feeling. I just don't think they're going to draft number 16, getting that number 16 pick for this year's draft.
I don't either.
I would be surprised if they draft there. So, yeah, I think more moves certainly coming.
You think they're trying to move down?
They might
better. Position?
They might. I think they could be moving completely out. They could use that draft pick to try to go and get a player. A more veteran player that is not going to be a 19, 20-year-old kid that's coming in. And because Zach Kleiman, he was so far a man of his word. He said, we've got to make some moves. We got to do something. We're not close right now. He's already shown that he's starting to make those moves. But in that same exit interview, he also said, we're not trying to get younger and, going out there and using, getting 4 draft picks and planning on, if the plan is to use those 4 draft picks, well, that would certainly get younger. So I would not be surprised. I guess if there is an opportunity to move up in the draft, this is a really good draft class, then I think you got to look at that. But I could also see them trying to move that pick for just kind of some sort of role player.
How will Desmond Bain be remembered?
I think he'll be remembered well. I think the consensus that I've gotten, seen on social media, that I've gotten from people I know, is that he was beloved here. People loved him. He was a fan favorite, and people were sad to see him go. So I think he'll be remembered. I think he'll be remembered pretty well by Grizzly fans.
I do too. I don't think next year and he will be with Orlando. I don't think they're moving away from him like we could with some or maybe all of the return back from Orlando. Certainly players, maybe picks as well. So he'll only come in one time next year. I think it should maybe a highlight montage, appreciation. But please don't do any stupid posters like for Shane Battier.
No, I don't.
I know it was Shane the Perfect, but
no, I don't think it will be anything like that. But I think it will be a good reception and certainly some sort of tribute video to him, and I think deserved. I think this was a trade where both teams really benefited from it, and certainly for Orlando, they feel like that's a missing piece for them and a piece that makes them better, and I think will make them better going into this season and as they look to compete in that Eastern Conference.
This deal, again, neither one of us think that this deal will stand alone. But if it did, does this make the Grizzlies better for next year?
I don't think so necessarily. I think
I don't either.
Definitely there are. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a guy that can come in and play, I think, a good role for the Grizzlies, but I don't think necessarily it makes him. Obviously this is a trade that involves a lot of picks. That's not going to help you out immediately. But like we both said, if you can use some of these pieces to go out there and make other moves, then that will certainly make you better.
And the pick side of it, John Jaron don't want to wait around to see the picks develop.
Certainly not. No, and again, it feels like with that exit interview, Zach Kleiman don't want to wait around and try to play a rebuilding game or something like that where we're trying to get this haul and get a bunch of first round draft picks. It feels like this was an offer that, look, if you're thinking in your head, we got to make a move and we got to move one of our guys, and Orlando comes out and says, we'll offer you 4 first-round picks. We'll also offer you 2 players. That is a deal that you cannot pass up on. You've got to make that. And so, yeah, I think this was a move where they said, look, there are some very valuable things in this trade that we can then turn around and use. And I was actually seeing Mark Stein, who does a really nice job covering the NBA. I think it was either him or Jake Fisher, who works with him, said that there are a lot of people thinking that there are already things in the movement, that the Grizzlies have already turned their attention to how they can move these pieces and turn that into a trade, and that you could see something develop out of it in the next couple of days, in the next week or two before the NBA draft. So it feels like the Grizzlies are ready to make some moves.
We as a media, we as a Grizzlies public, we had grown tired of Desmond Bain, though, hadn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to say as a whole necessarily just.
But shine was off.
But it was something had to change in terms of the way this team was made, and I think one of those was you got to deal one of these guys, especially when you look at numbers and finances and salaries, that one of those big guys had to be moved, and it just felt like if it was one of the 3, Desmond Bain was kind of the odd man out. And so yeah, I think even before we even got to the weekend, if you talk to anybody about trades, you would get to Desmond Bain really quick.
Why did we sour on him?
I think part of it was
because he was the 3rd of the 3.
Sure, he was, and I think it was kind of that thing where he was just kind of on that borderline of he's a really good player, he's not an all-star. He you get to the playoffs and didn't have very good playoff performance, especially this year. And then I think again that salary, that money, when you're looking at having to pay 3 guys in your core 3, he was getting a large chunk of money from this team where
but he didn't hold anybody hostage for that cash.
No. But I mean, it was kind of you paid him, and then maybe he
didn't pay off.
Yeah, he hadn't grown as much as you had wanted him to, and again, I think this was just one of those where it's just too perfect of a trade to pass up on. But I certainly didn't think they would get 4 first rounds for Desmond Bain. I mean, I was shocked when I
hard
saw
to believe somebody agreed to it.
That's right. And it goes back to Orlando felt like they had to make a move as well, and they felt like Desmond Bain was the perfect fit, and they had to go out there and also they wanted to get off Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's contract. So it was almost like, hey, we'll give you some first-rounders. We'll also sweeten this up by you taking his contract by throwing another first-round draft pick in there. That's at least how I viewed it. So, yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of factors in this trade that just kind of all got put together and made this trade happen.
From the Magic point of view, does that make them advance in a playoff series?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
You do?
I do. I mean, there are definitely things that have to you got to – figure out, do you have a guy that can play the point guard position on your roster and do it? I think,
is that their improvement or the East being more gettable, or both?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think when you look at what they've got so far, if Jalen Suggs can be your primary point guard and you've got Desmond Bain as your 2, look, I mean, we talked so much about Orlando last year about how good of a team they were, how young they were, getting improved, and that was a lot.
We know that look.
Exactly, and we saw they were able to do that with a lot of injuries. Paolo and Franz Wagner were both out at times for large portions of the season last year. But the biggest thing was they were dead last in the entire NBA in three-point shooting, and that's something that Desmond Bain can certainly help with. And I think this is one where I think Desmond Bain can really help that team.
He had struggles. Desmond Bain being he had struggles last year with his shooting. He had struggles the times that he would need to be on the ball, running the offense. He had struggles last year at times defending.
Yeah, and that's the thing is again a
lot of struggles.
It is, but I think this all comes down to they at least think that Suggs is their point guard, and so if you can take a lot of that of Desmond Bain, we don't need you to be on the ball. We need you to just be off the ball. And Jalen Suggs is a really good defender. And so I think all of that kind of helps of, hey, we need you to just go out there and we need you to hit shots. We need you to be a really good three-point shooter. You look at Desmond Bain, he's never been under a 38% three-point shooter. And so when you're a team that was shooting 31%, 32% as a team, that certainly helps you. And I think with what Desmond Bain can do defensively and what Jalen Suggs can do, I think you have enough to be good defensively. You certainly have a good front line in the front court. So I think this was a win-win for both sides in this trade.
I wish him well. I hope this is the start of a great roster reconstruction, and the Grizzlies get things righted and have playoff success. Good luck to Desmond Bain.
Absolutely.
I won't miss him 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, I wish him a lot of luck.
You can throw the station ID inside my 10 seconds. I'll miss him.
yeah, that's right. No, you run that, and that's as long as you'll miss him. I think Desmond Bain was a great Grizzly. For what he was able to.
Great.
Okay, not in terms of that, but for what the value you got for him was really good. I mean, this was a guy that you got at 30th. Nobody really was talking about Desmond Bain coming in, and I thought was a really good piece for this Grizzlies. It just kind of got to the point where, you need to make a change with this roster. And, again, he was kind of the odd man out. And so I think he's going to be good with Orlando. I think he really fits that scheme and what they're trying to do down there.
Hard one.
Okay.
Tommy Edmond, better Cardinal, or Desmond Bain, better Grizzly?
Brett, you're really down on Tommy Edmond. I've noticed that you did not like Tommy Edmond a lot. I will say Tommy Edmond was a better Cardinal.
I will
than Desmond Bain.
I will.
Well, that doesn't mean very highly about either of those guys.
He made a little noise in the postseason.
Well, I guess that is.
Little trickle.
I guess that's true, but no, I think this was a good trade for both sides. We'll obviously talk a lot about this throughout today's show. DeMichael Cole going to join us at 5:00 to talk about this and all things Grizzlies as well. But busy show today. Let me set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30. We'll talk more about this trade. Desmond Bain, he's going to Orlando. In return, the Grizzlies get 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony. 3:45. We'll talk about this report that came out yesterday. Pete Thamel talking about realignment, what the Pac-12 is doing. Talks a lot about the Memphis Tigers as well. We'll get to that at 3:45. 4:00, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us to talk college football and college basketball. 4:30, we'll talk more about Desmond Bain and more on the Grizzlies side of what this does for them going into next season. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5:00, DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us. We'll break down this trade. We'll break down the offseason, what all of this means for the Grizzlies as we're really about to get into the offseason. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and Family Leisure is already booking pool installs for 2025. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pool starting at $19.99 installed, with liner starting at $299. And right now, all pool accessories are up to 20% off. 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99, with swim spas and cold plunge tubs now $2,000 off. Don't forget about patio furniture. Select sets now up to 50% off. And if you mention this ad, get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Pool season right now at Family Leisure. Loved all their local ads during the golf all weekend, and we love them. And every day we're live from our Family Leisure studio. We being Sportstime, we're with you until 6 o'clock. He's Brian, I'm Brett. Our producer's Landon Schmidt, and we want you to join us and let us know your reaction to the trades. A lot of Grizzlies, some Tigers today. Very little golf. It'll be a lot of the teams here in Memphis that we will talk about. You can let us know your feelings at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Again, always from our Family Leisure Studios, and proud to do it live and local. And this hour brought to you live every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive-in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. You can call them at 901-334-9673, but they invite you to stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the trade that took place yesterday between the Magic and the Grizzlies. The Magic receive Desmond Bane, and in return, they send Memphis 4 first-round draft picks, including number 16 in this year's draft, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Cole Anthony. A massive trade that really had everybody talking yesterday. It was wild when it happened. I was at church and my phone just starts vibrating off the wall, and I'm trying to text people. I'm like, okay, what's
why I didn't
exactly going on?
I started texting you Blockbuster, but I knew you were at the house of the Lord.
I was,
and
I was trying to get as much information as I could and still try to do everything that I was needing to do at church. So it was a wild morning. So it did take me a while to really put together everything that had happened, but it was a blockbuster trade to really kick off this NBA offseason that everyone has been talking about. Everybody that is in the sources game nationally in the NBA, they all say this is going to be a wild, fast, crazy offseason, and that certainly kicked it off. I did not think when we talked about Desmond Bane and what the return would be for him, I did not think it would be 4 first-rounders and 2 players. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope coming off a season where he struggled. It was certainly not one of his worst seasons, if we're being honest, but this is a guy, 2-time NBA champ. He's a really good defender, a guy that prior to last season had shot 39% or better from 3 in the prior 4 seasons. So I think a guy that can come in and play a nice role in the rotation. Cole Anthony on the other side, a former lottery pick. I would not be surprised if that's a guy that they try to move and
don't buy a jersey.
I probably would not buy a Cole Anthony Grizzlies jersey, but I do think this was a trade that really benefited both sides. Orlando needed to go out and make a swing, and they did that, and I think added a piece that will certainly help them moving forward. On the other side, for the Grizzlies, when you're offered that type of trade, when you know you need to go out there and retool this roster, you've got to take it. When you can get that sort of draft capital, those types of players that you can move and you can move those draft picks, felt like a trade that benefited both sides. Now we'll see what the Grizzlies do from here, because like we said starting the show, I do not think this is the only move the Grizzlies make. Might not even be the only move that they make before the NBA draft.
I agree. That's why my top story is right there. Everybody's top story today in this market, I think, should be this. The long-awaited, really, since Desmond Bane told me post-game after being eliminated by Oklahoma City that he thought Ja, Jaren, and he made up a big 3, everybody's been waiting for him to be packaged in part of a deal, and he was the first part of the medium-sized 3 to be dealt. It's probably the best deal Zach Kleiman's made since drafting Desmond Bane.
Yeah. No,
I think Boston actually drafted him, though, didn't they? But it was the Grizzlies' call.
It might have been something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think if you went technically, but
right.
Everybody knew that was the Grizzlies' deal, and the Celtics made the pick, but everybody knew they were going to get him. And that was Kleiman's chops for years. That and all the progress on the floor and in playoffs, but it has definitely been halted since then. And it looked great for a long time until it wasn't. Orlando can, frankly, they can have him. I wouldn't have minded if he had been dealt in the West. He's not one of those, please move him east. But let's hope whenever Orlando comes in for the only time next year, no goofy posters like we did for Shane the Great.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to worry about that.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it is the NBA Finals, as we're back to all knotted up 2-2 going into Game 5 later tonight. The Thunder, they were able to get that win Friday night, 111-104, a really fun game, back and forth, had you on the edge of your seat, really didn't know which team was going to come out on top. Thunder able to do enough, outscoring the Pacers 31-17 in the fourth quarter to secure that win. Now, what happens tonight? The Thunder 9.5-point favorites going into tonight's game, and we'll see. Pacers have already shown that they can win on the road in OKC. They did that in Game 1. Can they do it again tonight in Game 5? Would be massive massive if they could do it. Obviously, looking at that line, Vegas and a lot of people think the Thunder will win at home, but we've seen this postseason that it has not been easy for the Oklahoma City Thunder, that the Pacers have really been a nice matchup for them and have made it difficult. So it's going to be a lot of fun tonight, see how this plays out, and we'll see who has the edge going into Game 6. If it's the Pacers, they get to go back home with an opportunity to wrap it up on their home court.
My not top story, and it's a reason it's the not top story over the top, because the top story is a real deal, a deal that was made, brick and mortar. We know Bain is gone. It's tangible. It's meat and potatoes. The not top story is Tiger and the realignment story from the weekend. I fear it was just summertime fodder by a national columnist, Pete Thamel, in a horribly written, horribly sourced, really just spitballing June story to stir the realignment pot. Pete Thamel invoked Memphis, and of course we naturally respond. Memphis, the Tigers so badly need out of that dog AAC, and it is. Football is. It's just not near as bad as basketball. Basketball, it's so bad it gives a mangy dog a bad name.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. So yeah, I mean that story I think got people excited, but I don't know really what it means or how it really plays out, because
got to get out of that AAC.
Yeah, no, you do, and I don't know. That story, it didn't make me feel as good as I thought it would.
Who signed off? I know everybody's going to be easy. Blame Laird, blame Laird, blame Laird Veach. Who signed off on that exit fee amount at the university?
Yeah, no, that.
Now, because look now, Laird didn't operate as a one-person department.
No,
he's got bosses on the academic side. He's got bosses on the board of trustees side. University council had to be sitting there when he did. If any of those people still can make a call, they need to turn in resignations today.
No, yeah.
The easy thing is going to be blame Laird, and nobody would have said a bad word about him if he was still here.
No, and that's a great point, because we know that the Pac-12 and Tigers were deep in discussions about Memphis going to the Pac-12, and it all got put to a halt because of finances and mainly because of the position the Tigers are in of these exit fees.
One of the worst contracts signed ever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because that is definitely that's the only thing kind of holding it up for the Tigers. But we'll definitely get into that a little bit later in this hour. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to a break, and when we return, we'll talk more about this trade. Desmond Bain going to Orlando, 4 first-round picks, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a pick swap, and Cole Anthony coming to Memphis in return. We'll talk about that more next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, or personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a home that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving. KFC Phillips are back. 3 delicious meals for just $7 each. That's great news for everyone, except the driver in F1 the movie who only gets 2.5 seconds for a pit stop. 2.5 seconds? That's not enough time to indulge in juicy original recipe chicken. Oh, and he's done. Creamy mashed potatoes, sweet pie poppers, and a medium drink. Well, the rest of us can take as long as we'd like to enjoy any KFC $7 fill. Then see F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt. Only in theaters June 27th. Rated PG-13. Prices and discretion varies. Applies lots of taxes and fees extra. Jenkins Floors and More invites you to the retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. Also stores in Cleveland, Mississippi and Little Rock. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier is the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Good afternoon. It's heavier than it was 15-20 minutes ago on 240 East from Mill Branch, all the way out to 385. Bill Morris Parkway traffic's been in pretty good shape. We had a couple of stalls out there earlier around Hacks Crossroads. Traffic's still moving at the moment. I-40 East, keeping an eye on it from Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them in person at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk more about the Desmond Bane trade that went down yesterday morning. Big time news in the NBA. The Orlando Magic, they received Desmond Bane in return. 4 first-round picks, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, also a pick swap in there as well. A big-time trade to really start off. I mean, we were kind of sitting here wondering, when do trades get started in the NBA? When do we see some movement? And yesterday morning, the Grizzlies, and the Magic were the first ones to get out there and say, all right, let's get down to business. Let's make some trades happen.
They are, and of course, we want to alert our audience. We are monitoring the College World Series and an all-time pitching performance by Arkansas. Gage Wood enters the ninth with a no-hitter, not a perfect game. He did hit a batter, but a no-hitter with 16 strikeouts. Truly epic performance going on right now in Omaha for the Razorbacks against Murray State. The defeated team is out. Yeah. Winner advances will play the defeated team between UCLA and LSU. Are you watching as well?
Yeah, no, we got it on in here. I haven't watched much of it this afternoon, but yeah, really good performance. A big time game for Arkansas, must win. And so yeah, they definitely get the ace out there, let him work, and he's certainly dealing this afternoon.
And he has, between innings, between the 8th and 9th, it was like he had bubonic plague in the dugout. Nobody near him.
Stay away from him. Stay away from him. Let him do his thing over there and let him stay locked in.
The trade was made. We want your response to it. I think I was pretty clear where I stood. You as well. I'm hoping this is the start of more. Mm-hmm. Of the medium-sized 3, do you think either of the other 2, Jaren or Ja, will be involved in any deals? There's a lot of talk out there, and you saw a real schism between local and national reporting over the weekend.
No, you did, and it felt like a lot of the national reporting right after that trade. We were kind of saying, well, this could indicate the start of the teardown, start of a rebuild for the Grizzlies. I don't think either of those guys are involved in anything based on what I have seen, what I've read from national people that I really trust when it comes to the NBA. It sounds like the Grizzlies are really committed to trying to get something long-term extended for Jaren Jackson Jr., and it sounds like not really interested in moving Ja Morant. Now, obviously, if something...
What's your personal taste? Would you be shocked? Would you be mad? would listeners be mad? I know a lot of people say, who are you going to sell tickets around if you deal Ja? Mm-hmm. If you deal Jaron, you're kind of leaving Ja just to have to do it really all by himself with whatever you bring in. But, any core of the team, it'll be him kind of on an island. I wouldn't mind whatsoever. I don't think it will be, but I would not mind whatsoever if it was full incineration blow up.
Yeah. No, obviously, tell me what the trade looks like for either of them, but I'd probably stick with both those guys. Obviously, the biggest thing for me with Jaron is that contract extension coming up, and how much money you're going to be giving him. But I think in terms of me personally, I think you keep both of them, see how you can build around, and obviously what you can do next with some of the stuff that you've got.
That's very prudent. If they do that, I hope it works. Mm-hmm. But we know with both of them, 6 years for one, 7 for another, neither waiting for the draft picks, even in the Orlando deal, to really pay off. I can't imagine next spring with either not a playoff appearance or out in another first round or out in the play-in, whatever it is, out, not advancing, of rolling that odometer to 7 years of Ja, 8 years of Jaron. So we've been patient. We had pieces around. We all thought in 22 that this was the start of something really special, that by now, maybe not win it all, maybe not even go to the NBA Finals, but we thought for sure by now an appearance in the Western Conference Finals and been close. Zach Kleiman, very refreshingly candid, we're not close. So we keep those two. We got to put a lot more around them. We got to have a lot better pieces than they ever have because they are starting to get older. We know they can't do it in and of itself by themselves. They got to have a lot of pieces. The pieces we have hadn't worked. So what can we amass that much? Can we drag them across the finish line?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, you look at those guys with Jaron and Ja, and both are extremely talented players. Obviously with Ja, it's a concern of availability and those injuries, but both have shown they're all-star caliber players. And so, we talk a lot about second apron and how the world of NBA finances has changed. And so I think getting off of one of those big contracts with Desmond Bane, that you can go out there and try to get more role pieces, guys that are maybe have more team-friendly contracts that you can really work around and try to build around and see. I think the idea of, look, that three, you hadn't really gotten anywhere. It felt like it was getting a little stale. It felt like you needed to shake something up. Go out there and try to retool this, see what you can do with it. And then, if it doesn't work out, then that's when I think you have the conversation of really changing things. But I don't think right now is necessarily that time to blow everything up.
Okay, I'm fine by that, but here, you know my fear. It's more Ja than anything else. Sure. The next time, for whatever reason, it would probably be injury. He's still 6 foot and 170. The next time he has to miss 40-plus games in a year, then I think everybody it all should be bulldozed.
Sure.
And then that goes into my consistent postseason theme about the lack of leadership from the top, from Wexler, Kleiman. They sacrificed the coach. There's not many sacrifices left.
That is true. They're working down the list, but no, I obviously injury is definitely a concern with Ja Morant, and so it's one of those where it's you just got to make a decision if you're this front office, and it seems like right now that decision is we're gonna roll with them, and we're gonna try to retool this around him, and if those injuries come, then it's just one of those things that comes with it, and that you made that decision of we're going to stick with them. And so how do you now retool this? How do you make this roster around Ja Morant and Jaron?
I'm referencing now the Bobby Marks infographic on Twitter. Did you see it making the rounds?
I didn't. I know. Is this a newer one? I know he puts them out at the end of towards the end of each team's season. I remember seeing it then, but I don't remember exactly what was on it.
And we both are in agreement and have made that clear that we think this is the first of maybe several to many more moves. He has a starting five of John Morant, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at the guards, forwards, Jalen Wells, Jaren Jackson, center, Zach Edey. Got a little bit of issue there, Bobby.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be the case, we don't think, until at best Thanksgiving, at worst after the new calendar year. Reserve, Scottie Pippen, Cole Anthony, John Conchar. Nobody believes that. Then G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams, Brandon Clark, Jay Huff. Free agents, Santi Aldama, Luke Kennard, Lamar Stevens, Marvin Bagley, Yuki Harumura, and Cam Spencer. Drafting 16th and 56th. None of that's going to – very little of that's going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, it feels like more moves coming, like we said. You know, I'm still not sold on them making that pick at 16. I think, you know, a lot of things could happen with that pick. I had not seen this updated one from Bobby Marks. I'm seeing it now. I'm looking at it now. But, yeah, I mean, I think – with this roster and with some of the things you have in terms of some of those players, some of those picks, I think there's still, you know, a lot of ways that you can make moves and really change. You know, I think this is one where you save it and you look back. I wish I could go back and get the one from right after the season, save that one, save this one, and then really see what does this team look like on opening night.
And then see the one on opening night.
Exactly. You know, see
the one that's really going
how much it changes from now or from then to now.
No-hitter for Arkansas, third in College World Series history. They win. They advance. Murray State's Cinderella roll is now over. 3 runs, 10 hits for Arkansas. Had the one-hit batsman to prevent, and I think maybe even another walk to prevent a perfect game. But a no-hitter, what a performance.
Yeah, no, really good performance, and obviously massive for Arkansas.
Razorbacks very much alive.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, obviously not in the spot they want to be, but
nope, not ideal.
Definitely still a really talented team and could definitely cause a lot of problems out there, and obviously showing that today. And, you know, for Murray State, a great story, a great season for them, great postseason run. But, hey, that's the type of performance you need from your star players in a win-or-go-home game, and he delivered today.
Help me with the math. I think now they would play the defeated between UCLA, LSU.
That's right.
If they win, then they would have to defeat – if it's LSU, they would have to beat them twice.
I believe that's right. Yeah, I believe that's right. Don't quote me on that. My postseason college baseball is not as sharp as some other things. But no, they're certainly alive. It's tough. I mean, their side of the bracket is difficult. I mean, when you've got LSU and UCLA out there, you know, those are two really, really good teams. So, I mean, it's obviously going to be an uphill battle for them after taking that loss to LSU. But definitely still alive for sure.
Definitely so. So the Grizzlies deal, the first we think of some more. I guess anything could be in play in the broad. Is this any run? Do you amass enough to maybe have the tear down and try to get the number 1 pick and draft Mr. Wonderful? A Dookie? Like Zach Kleiman?
So you think for this year's draft? No, I don't think Dallas is going to do that.
Wouldn't that sell tickets?
It would sell tickets. But I think the problem is I don't think Dallas is doing anything. I think they are. I think you could offer them everything and they'd still take Cooper Flag. So I think that would be the issue there. But no, I mean, I think there's a lot of moves still to be made. I really don't know. You know, is Cole Anthony on this roster opening night? Probably not. You know, how many of those picks? Because at the end of the day, you know, these picks are going to be valuable for somebody. But with Orlando and what we think they'll probably do, you know, how good are those picks? How good is a 2028 first round pick from Orlando going to be? It just seems like these are movable pieces for the Grizzlies. We'll see how they move them. But I still think that core of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., I think that will still be there on opening night. Who knows outside of that? But I do think those two will definitely be there. Let's get to another break. When we come back, there was a big story yesterday. Pete Thamel talking about realignment, what the Pac-12 is doing. Talked a lot about the Memphis Tigers as well. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
I love my wife, but like most couples, we have different sleeping needs. One of us likes it warm, and the other prefers to stay cool. You can probably guess who's who. About 15 years ago, I set out on a mission to find the perfect fabric to keep us both comfortable. I found it in Viscose from Bamboo. I'm Tyler, founder of Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth offers the softest, most comfortable sheets, towels, PJs, joggers, and more. Our premium bamboo viscose fabric is incredibly soft, breathable, and moisture-wicking, helping regulate body temperature so you stay comfortable all day and night. Unbelievably cozy, ethically sourced, and designed to add a touch of luxury to your home. I believe so strongly that our sheets will turn your bed into a sanctuary that if you sleep in our sheets for 100 nights and don't absolutely love your experience, we will refund your money, no questions asked. I'm so confident that you'll love Cozy Earth that I guarantee it. It truly is the gift that keeps on giving.
Go to CozyEarth.com and use code CozyComfort to save up to 40%. That's CozyEarth.com. Code CozyComfort. At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback and hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member in both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Oh, tasty high note. Oh, hi, don't mind me. I'm practicing my new baritone sax. I just heard PayPal's paying for people's stuff every day for 100 days, and there's 10 million up for grabs. All you have to do is use PayPal checkout online. So there's never been a better time to buy a few things off the old wish list. Like this leaf blower! PayPal can pay for your purchase. The Great PayPal Checkout. No purchase necessary ends July 18th. See official rules at paypal.com/thegreatpaypalcheckout/terms. Participating merchants only must use PayPal checkout online. Coverage of up to $100 and eligible purchases per card.
Now, back to Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Cars. Here are your hosts, Star Sports Movie, Brian Gates.
Well, yesterday's story from Pete Thamel came out on ESPN talking realignment, a lot of Pac-12 talk, but also discussed the Memphis Tigers. Before we get into anything when it comes to Pac-12, when it comes to Tigers, I just want to read the first two sentences from this story because it made me laugh. It made me happy when I read it. In the cloak and dagger world of conference realignment, clues to potential moves can manifest in strange places. One emerged last week via an X account with 313 followers promoting Texas State tailback Lincoln Perry for the Heisman Trophy. Our very own Lincoln Perry.
Your teammate,
That's
the old
right.
Houston
Landon's
Mustang.
old teammate over at Houston High School. So
how about that?
That made me.
I saw that too. I thought of you when I saw it.
I did when I read it. I was like, "Holy cow! There's a good
Lincoln
shout
Perry
out.
still playing college
Still
football.
playing college football.
Good for
So had a big touchdown run in the bowl game last year, and a lot of
He
people
did.
excited for him this
For
year
the
at Texas State.
Bobcats.
That's right. Bob Brett, you are well-rounded on our future conference brethren in the Pac-12.
Well,
Texas
their
State and
their
Tigers.
route to it is much safer than the Tigers. Can you believe that in this quixotic, circuitous, crazy college football realignment world that Texas State is sitting prettier than the Tigers?
So much so that this story kind of pointed to they could get an official invite in the next couple of weeks, certainly before July.
I think they have to have it before June 30th, or their
It does,
hostage
yeah.
money goes way up.
On July 1st, it jumps up, I think, like $5 million. So,
Brian, that contract, that deal for the Tigers' exit fee, seriously, people still at the university, if they had any role in that, I know now everybody will blame it on Laird. You wouldn't hear the first whisper of any criticism when he was here.
No.
It was all the King's horses and all the King's men to keep a total dud propped up.
Yeah.
I know what he parlayed it into, and he was trying to leave the whole time he was here. He tried really hard for Mississippi State. He tried really hard for Kansas State. And then he got Mizzou.
He sure did.
He is at Mizzou as a SEC AD. I know all of that. Also know he was a gigantic nothing.
Yeah, and so I don't know what went into play to have this, but it has become a massive roadblock for Memphis and them just looking at any opportunity to get out of this conference.
I mean, that would be a check cut by a booster that you would have to go to, and you can fill in a lot of names. There are a lot of prominent Tiger boosters that give, that love it and support it, and they should. There's plenty to love and support, plenty. But that would have to be one of those, I'm going to cut this check, don't ever ask me for another dime.
Yeah.
I'm done. This is when you give and give and give to the friend or the loved one or whatever. This is it. I'm done after this one.
Yeah, no, I mean it would be a big check to cut, and it would not be a fun one to cut. But
I say there are a lot to stroke that check. And to sign that deal was just one of the worst agreements ever. And you know, I'm sorry that I didn't know more about it at the time, and I'm even sorry that it was not a lot of reporting about that. I do think in these times, in these budgets for a lot of places, we including me, we're leaving a lot of business numbers, functions of behind the scenes. We're forgetting about it. It's not being reported until it's a disaster, and one of those includes whenever the iceberg gets hit at AutoZone Park.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. But I mean, for Memphis, this the whole piece about the Tigers in here was interesting, but you know, it kind of left a lot of things unknown. You know, there were really no answers in this other than what we already kind of knew. Memphis wants to get out of the
no
conference.
answers and no sources.
No. And it was just kind of everything that we've already known about.
More Lincoln Perry references than actual credible sources.
That's right, yes. And so, I mean, it was...
Didn't you think that story was just horribly slapdash together?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I I'd always love more. We always talk about it. I'd love to know where you're getting this information and where it's coming from. I guess I trust that these are good sources that are giving him good information. But it really was no new information, and certainly for some people, I'm sure it was. When you look at this as a big national story on the front page of ESPN's college football website, but it was really just kind of, hey, Memphis is looking to go somewhere, but they really can't, and that's about it.
How many teams right now in the current Big East? 12?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
12 teams. St. John's, Creighton, Connecticut, Marquette, Xavier, Villanova, Georgetown, Butler, Providence, DePaul, Seton Hall. I just went through the standings last year in the Big East. That's why I didn't have it alphabetized. I think the Tigers are very attractive to that. But do you want an odd team? Would you add others? Yeah. If you could get that Big East for basketball, Pac for football, I think it's time now that, look, all the other sports, the non-revenue producing sports, look, I'm sorry. We've dragged and we've pulled and we've pushed and tried to get to a victory line, and you got to do the best you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean,
and with revenue sharing.
Sure. Yeah, and that's kind of the big one coming down now is how do you do all this with the revenue sharing? But I think that was one thing in this story.
And I can't help the badminton team anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, but that is one thing I think with this story that I think does at least make you feel a little good is that it makes it sound like these conversations have been had by multiple different people of the idea of Memphis coming for football only in the Pac-12 and all the other sports going to the Big East. So it at least sounds like there has been conversations about that and maybe the potential of that helping. And I think, we have obviously talked about that as being an idea of just kind of like, hey, it's something out there that you could do. But I think this makes you feel like maybe there are some discussions going on of how could you make that work.
How much longer are the Tigers bound to that ransom?
Yeah, I have no idea. I know there was the quote in that story. I'll just read it. I have it right here. The expectation in the Pac-12 is that no movement from Memphis to the Pac-12 Big East would be expected to be seriously discussed until at least a 2027-28 start date. So it feels like
I don't know if we have that much time.
Yeah, well,
I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know it. I'm almost at the point now. Run down the hall screaming, running for your lives, pull the fire alarms.
Yeah. Well.
The fans can't take much more Rice and Temple.
No, you're seeing it. We talk about it all the time of those attendance numbers. People don't want to go to FedEx Forum or anywhere to see these opponents in the American. But I didn't think a ton of great news from that story yesterday from ESPN. But it does look like, I guess, if you're a Texas State fan, it looks really good that they might be heading to the Pac-12, but definitely always feels like always news when it comes to conference realignment. But let's go ahead, wrap up this hour, get to another break. Maybe David Cobb can give us some good news about the Tigers' future and trying to get into the Pac-12, trying to get somewhere. We'll talk to him, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us next on Sportstime.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places. Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs, 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft drinks on Mondays. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music burned up Tuesdays. Daily special and Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Highway 70. Check those out for daily special and weekend music at the Owner's Box. Jenkins Floors and More invites you to the retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. Also stores in Cleveland, Mississippi and Little Rock. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar system, systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good the base will marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Spring is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free green egg grill or 36 months no-interest financing. Stay powered during storms, enjoy endless hot water, and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow-smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, this special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
This traffic report is brought to you by Millington Weight Loss. For more information, call 901-436-0272.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon, MPD and TDOT on the scene of this crash, 240 eastbound near Gedwell. It's got traffic a little bit slow over here, mostly rubbernecking. Again, lots of traffic over here on this side of town anyway. This time of the afternoon, could see some rain showers up in Tipton County right now as we look at the weather radar. Also, your drive there, I-40 out into Fayette County can be a little bit tricky. Some thunderstorms out in certain parts of Fayette County as well. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them this week and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now from CBS Sports, where he covers college football and college basketball. David, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into today. I do want to talk about one of the things a lot of people have discussed here locally today and even yesterday when the story came out. Pete Thamel over at ESPN wrote about conference realignment, a lot about the Pac-12, what their next move is, but also had a section in there about the Memphis Tigers, kind of talking about where they are a chip that, you know, is out there in realignment play, but because of exit fees and financial issues that, you know, Pac-12 right now isn't an option. Power conferences aren't really looking to expand. What did you make of that story yesterday from Pete Thamel and where the University of Memphis is at right now in terms of conference realignment?
Well, it's fascinating to see the idea of Memphis having a, what would you call, maybe a bifurcated membership, to see that out there in a very realistic way, because it's always been a talking point, maybe something of a pipe dream for Memphis to be in the Pac-12 for football, but the Big East for basketball and other sports. But honestly, that's a best-case sort of scenario. So to see it sort of mentioned in an ESPN article as something that is has been discussed. I think that's interesting. That's been out there a little bit, but it's apparently got some legs. But it's obviously it's a financial question for Memphis because you're not like SMU in the way that SMU was able to buy their way out of the AAC and then commit to taking no revenue from the ACC because SMU is just that rich. And Memphis and most other universities are not that rich. And so you'd have to wait until the number falls to really make that realistic because I don't know that you'd make a ton more money doing that. It would be a far better competitive situation in both sports. You could sell more tickets, be on better TV slots. But I'd really have to see a financial breakdown to say, oh yeah, well it'd be worth breaking your AAC deal and putting your department in a budgetary bind to make that happen. And unfortunately, there's a financial component to all of it that is kind of holding Memphis back. I think from being able to really make a move.
Yeah, and it feels like the financial issues are the biggest thing. Obviously, the exit fee is huge, but still waiting to hear from the Pac-12 what their media rights deal will look like, what the money will look like there. If you are going football only, what will that money look like from the Pac-12? What would the money look like from the Big East if you could make something work there? It really does feel like there's a lot of unknown. Even after reading that, I was glad to see Memphis getting a section in that, but it feels like just so much unknown in terms of what the future is for Memphis and this world of college athletics.
Yeah, no doubt. As we've known and discussed, I mean, they are kind of the biggest fish left out there from the G5 standpoint. I always have a hard time figuring out how to categorize Memphis in these discussions about the changing landscape of college sports because everybody wants to know, wow, what does this house settlement mean? What does revenue sharing mean for the G5 schools? Isn't it just going to get harder for the G5 schools to compete at the highest level? And the answer to that is yes, but I don't really view Memphis as your typical G5 program. They have more financial backing. They have better facilities. They have better history and better current programs in men's basketball and football than really anyone in the G5, especially when you look at Boise State. They are perennially really good in the Mountain West in basketball. They're making NCAA tournaments pretty often. Their football team is coming off of a playoff bid. I mean, you would put Boise State's tandem of football and men's basketball ahead of Memphis, but I don't know that there's anybody else out there who you would. And those two sort of operate on an island of their own because they do have corporate support. But I think where Memphis and Boise State maybe are lagging behind just a little bit is just like in the appetite of the power conferences to go out and to get them. I mean, because it was the Big 12 really going to sign up for something with Boise and have to add Boise to their travel situation? What's that going to do for their financials? Having Boise in the league, is it going to really make the TV partners there pony up? No, it's actually just going to dilute the pie. And it's kind of the same deal for Memphis. It's there's not a power conference out there who needs a team bad enough to dilute what they pay each member in order to bring Memphis on board. And so unless you're like an SMU and you can buy your way in, and a Memphis can't, a Boise can't, then you got to make the best of what's available and what's out there. And I mean, going to the Pac-12 for football and the Big East for basketball, I think Memphis would be doing that because you would be positioned. If you're in the Big East in basketball, you're in a much more competitive league, a league that's going to send multiple teams to the NCAA tournament every year. And then if you're in the Pac-12 for football, it's a whole lot better than the AAC, and the travel's manageable because you're only doing it 4 times a year for one sport, as opposed to if you're in there for all the schools, it makes no sense logically, financially, geographically. So football only, that makes a lot of sense if they can get the price of exiting the AAC down enough to make that happen.
David, I'm with you about the Tigers and really the conundrum, the vexing spot that they're in this realignment contest, and following this all my life and all the conferences that the Tigers have been in and all the different conference brethren. I'm not kidding you. If you went through everybody that Memphis has been in a conference at one time with, the number might hit 50 that they've been conference soulmates with, and all those conferences were really drawn up for basketball, forever the stronger hand of the two big sports in college sports. Now comes along the era where all we hear is it's football driven. You got to be good in football. Well, Memphis gets good in football. Very, very, very relevant. I mean, today there are odds out today that I might get to at 5:30 that they're second behind Boise for that spot this year. Sure, I mean, just like last year, need Boise to lose and lose often early in the year. And the Tigers, you have to have the winning. But now stuck in this AAC, that football is slightly better. I think it's really only better because basketball is so very bad. And you said it, Memphis has that great history. It does have that great history, and it's why year after year in the penny years of being disappointed, no Sweet 16 since 2009, that even that history is slipping away, David.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. It's like, can you blame that on the conference? I think that's what some people want to do right now. They want to blame it on the conference. And I don't know that that's entirely appropriate or accurate to blame Memphis's lack of deep NCAA tournament runs on the conference. It doesn't help, that's for sure, but Memphis has just kind of struggled the two times they've put together a really good, really capable team. With the first one with Kendrick Davis, and now the second one most recently with PJ Haggerty. They haven't gotten it done in the tournament. And now you're going into a new year with a totally new roster, and I'd be surprised if this Memphis basketball team is the one to get it done and make a deep run. What would going to a new conference do? Well, it would give you more margin for error. It would give you a more competitive February and March. I think that helps because then you get to the NCAA tournament, you're accustomed to playing other good teams. The recruiting element probably gets a little bit easier, but that's never been Penny Hardaway's problem. He's always been able to recruit, whether that be high school talent or whether it be talent from the portal. I don't know that the conference affiliation for basketball is really the thing to blame Memphis's basketball shortcomings on. It hasn't helped, but we see Gonzaga every year out of a horrible league continue to make the NCAA tournament. They made 8 Sweet 16s in a row. I mean, so I just don't know that you can completely and fully use that as an excuse when you're not even necessarily dominating the league that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and Gonzaga, they're getting out of that conference. They're going to the Pac-12, so there'll be a lot of new for them. But it is kind of that thing of, we've heard for so long of Gonzaga, how are they going to do in postseason when from, January until March they're playing in this conference and they're going to be, 30-point favorites in every single game. We've seen them go out there and make a lot of noise in postseason. For the Tigers, it was kind of that same conversation this year of, okay, from January to March, you're not playing anybody. How can you respond in the postseason? And they really weren't able to with a first-round exit. Going back to college football, a lot of news over the last week or so about this idea, and really even further back, but this idea of college football going from the 2 transfer portal windows to just 1 transfer portal window. Where are you on that, and where do you think that we could be moving in the direction of just going to 1 transfer portal?
Well, it seems like there's momentum for that, but what I fear we're trying to do right now is put a lot of the toothpaste back in the tube. And hey, don't get me wrong. I mean, I loved college football in the 90s and in the early 2000s when you didn't have to worry about really anything except getting turned in by an opposing assistant coach for handing money under the table to a prospect. Those were the glory days, right? Like the 90s and the 2000s when college football was in it, for me as a 30-something-year-old, like when I was learning the game and growing to love and understand it. And now we've come into this totally new era with the portal and with player payment. And now you're seeing them say, well, let's make the portal go from 2 windows down to 1. And let's have Deloitte vet the NIL deals. And let's reduce the overall amount of compensation that the players are getting, because that's what House is ultimately going to do. And so I just worry that we're setting ourselves up for years more of lawsuits here because, it'd be probably convenient for everyone except for the players if we just went down to 1 portal window. And it'd be convenient for everyone except for the players if this House settlement and the settlement terms if everybody abided by that and that became the new law of the land. But when you try to limit what employees and what people are able to do, and then you get sued, it doesn't ultimately work out. And I kind of fear that that's where this is headed, because who they don't restrict on when they can transfer? Your normal students. Your everyday Joe who's attending University of Texas. He can transfer whenever he wants to. So why can't the football player and then be eligible? And so these arguments, when they're put under legal scrutiny, they don't hold up. But personally, would I prefer it? Yes, I would. I just worry that we're the collegiate leadership is kind of misguided in thinking they can walk some of this stuff back.
David, I agree conceptually that regular student can, but we also know that at a lot of places after you transfer, that really kind of reboots your degree plan and kind of causes you at least a semester, if not two, in a graduation plan. And there are some places that I don't think would accept a transfer. And there are some places that you've got 8 semesters to get that degree plan in, and that would not fit inside that.
Well, no doubt. I mean, there's a risk-benefit analysis for the regular student when they transfer, and same as there should be for an athlete. But if you're an athlete and you're making $100,000 at one school and another school offers you $300,000, but you can't go because the NCAA has these transfer windows, and I can only go at a certain, during a certain 2-week period. Well, that caps my ability to earn a living and earn a wage. And we've seen how the courts have responded to those situations. Unfortunately, that's just the way it's gone. And the NCAA, I'll say this, the NCAA and sort of the status quo and the way things have always been did sort of get a big win about 4 or 5 days ago when the lawsuit by Zakai Ziegler for a 5th year of eligibility, when it got a really bad ruling. So he's not going to win that lawsuit. And honestly, thank goodness, because I love Zakai Ziegler. He's one of the best players in Tennessee basketball history, to be honest with you. But I really didn't want to see us go to a spot where everyone's getting a universal 5 years to play, because it just feels like we're finally getting out of the COVID thing with the extra year of eligibility. There's finally a place for freshmen in college basketball again. And if everyone's about to start getting 5 years, then all that's thrown out the window. And then we're one ruling away from eternal eligibility. So that was a win. And that was good because, it's just, come on, get a job, as they all say. It's time to go on and get a job.
Real world.
And, Zakai Ziegler, he can make money playing in Europe. I firmly believe that. He's not going to play in the NBA, but he's good enough to go and play and continue making money in his basketball career. He doesn't have to be in college to do that. And so I was, I guess, maybe a little encouraged to see that ruling, because it was finally a win for the I don't know if the NCAA or what, but a win for the way things have always been.
Yeah, and David, at some point, those players, you got your chance to play college athletics. It's time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. The JUCO precedent was interesting, though, because that's going to allow Diego Pavia and a lot of these players who want to go the JUCO route, to then go and play 4 years at D1. So that's something we're going to be grappling with in the years to come. But yeah, rare victory for the NCAA in that Ziegler case.
Speaking of college basketball and Tennessee, we learned last week the matchups for the ACC-SEC Challenge. You ranked them over at CBS Sports. Obviously, Florida at Duke, the top one out of all of the games that were announced. But can you explain to me why in the world Tennessee and Syracuse are playing again? This is now the third straight year Tennessee and Syracuse have met in the regular season. 3 years ago, or I guess 2 years ago, it was in Maui. Last year as part of the SEC-ACC Challenge. And now again, they'll meet in the SEC-ACC Challenge. Can Tennessee and Syracuse not get other opponents?
Honestly, I don't know. It's very unfortunate for Syracuse. If I'm Syracuse, I'm like, can you not just give me LSU or South Carolina or something? Why do I have to play Tennessee again? I think Syracuse will be better, but that one is not among the most intriguing of these matchups, and that one should be a pretty easy win for the for the SEC. I mean, going on the road to Cuse isn't going to be easy, but Tennessee will be an 8.5-point favorite or something in that game. These matches, aside from that one, though, there's some good ones in there.
Good.
You know, I think the SEC is going to dominate the thing probably again, but maybe not 14-2. I think my final tally, I predicted a winner for each of them, and I think I've got it. SEC beating the ACC 11-5. So maybe a little bit more competitive showing for the ACC this year.
You know, if that's the case, there'll be somebody out there going, see, the SEC's not dominant this year.
Yeah, wow, they're really regressing. I mean, it will be really hard for the SEC to be as dominant in men's basketball as they were this year. But man, I mean, 14-2, that was just such an incredible showing. And then you go through the list of these games, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see Duke beating Florida. You know, I could see Louisville beating Arkansas, but where the SEC separates itself, not just from the ACC, but from the other leagues too, is with the down ballot teams and the depth, because your Ole Misses and your Texases and your Mississippi States, they're just so much better than, you know, who the ACC trots out there at that level with a Florida State or a Boston College or those types of teams. And I think that's a money thing, you know, and I'm curious to see if that doesn't change in this era, because in basketball in particular, over the last few years, before the House settlement, they were able to pour so much in the SEC into basketball rosters. But if House is successful in limiting the amount that's going to the players, we know the SEC is going to devote it to football. Well, I mean, they just are. There's no way they won't. Whereas for the ACC, a lot of those schools, basketball has always been a higher priority. Maybe not more important than football, I wouldn't say that, but basketball's always meant more to the ACC than it has to the SEC historically. So I'm just curious to see if last year doesn't end up being the high watermark for SEC basketball. One, I don't know how much better you could possibly get, although I'm sure Greg Sankey will aspire to get all 16 of his teams into the NCAA tournament. But I am curious to know if you know, these next few years, especially some of the new coaches in the ACC, if that league doesn't at least make something of a comeback in basketball.
That was Mike Slive always would say, we're really not 12, we're really 1, but inside that you're wanting to lobby for now all 16. David Cobb with us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. David, here's your column rank it from the most heated to do whatever he says. What inside an athletics department, what's the best turf war, the best battle for budget money between football and basketball coaches that the AD's got a referee?
Oh man, well it was Kentucky with John Calipari and Mark Stoops, and I think Mark Stoops might just be realizing he's going to lose that battle now, and Mark Pope doesn't have to give any verbal jabs. He's just you look at his roster, and then you look at that Kentucky football roster, and you're like, all right, I see where Kentucky's money is going, but those battles are about to get really, really real in this House revenue sharing era, where your AD is basically deciding which programs financially he wants to invest in a very real way, above and beyond the way it used to be. You know, you used to have to pick on facilities projects and coaching budgets and all those sort of things, but when you start picking with the talent in terms of the players and which teams you're going to give the biggest budgets to, places like Arkansas, those are going to be big time discussions, because they want to be really, really good at baseball, at basketball, and football. And when you're not Texas and you're not Georgia, and you're not the biggest budget in the conference, but you want to be really good at the best sports, that creates some really uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, it's just not at Kentucky anymore, but John Calipari is still going to be in the biggest turf war with AD, especially if they have to make a change at football late November, early December this year. You can hear him now. I've got 3 or 4 more years left, and I'm real close to winning it all. I want the cash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put football on the back burner. Let's go all in on basketball. Oh, yeah, by the way, Dave Van Horn just has a pitcher who threw a no-hitter. That kid probably needs $500,000 for next year, So it's those are real conversations, and it's
and could play into AD's having to stay with a coach even longer because I can't fire this guy, pay the big buyout, pay the big money to get the new staff in here, and have this turf war with the basketball coach over money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we're kind of already seeing that. The buyouts have just they've just gotten so extraordinary, and now the budgets are so crunched that it's getting harder to fire a coach, and so that's a significant concern, and it makes me wonder, when are we going to start seeing coaching contracts revisited? When are we finally going to see the max capacity for what a head coach can make and is worth?
We're not,
because in the NFL, the star quarterback makes more than the head coach, right? It's never been that way in college football, but it probably should be. I mean, we probably should be at a point where your top 10 or 15 quarterbacks in college football are making more than the head coach, but we are not there yet. We're really not even close.
That for the point guard over the basketball coach?
Yeah, I would think so. Not for run of the mill average Joe, 9 points and 4 assist point guard, but for your all conference types of guys, those should be $2 million players, or they are right now. Will they continue?
You think John Calipari wants to make less than Derrick Rose?
Right, but that's if we're talking about the NBA equivalent, then that's what it is, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander sure makes a whole lot more than Mark Daigneault. Yeah. Mark Daigneault's replaceable. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not. But that calculus is not there yet in college sports, because for so long you didn't have to pay the players, so you just paid the coaches instead. And now it's like, okay, now you have to pay the players, but the coaches are still making as much as they were before. That seems like a math problem to me. And so I'm fascinated to see, somebody's got to be the pioneer there. Somebody's got to say, yeah, whatever. Like, we'll just go with an up-and-coming, young, unproven coach, pay him a sack of peanuts relative to the rest of the conference, and then we're going to go all in on paying our players, and we'll let the talent do the talking instead of the coach.
How long do you think Kim Mulkey would want to work like that?
Yeah, I think she'd probably hang it up pretty quick. This era is not for everyone. It's certainly not for everyone. Can you imagine? There's some of these egos on these college coaches. I mean, you mentioned Kim Mulkey, but there's her. There's a lot of football coaches too that come to mind. I just don't know that their egos could handle making salaries that are less than some of what their players are making. And, that's just never the way it's been. But we're just seeing that balance of power shift now towards the players in a way that it never has before. And then sometimes, the players overplay their hand. You think about like the Nico situation. He was pushing for a salary that probably would have put him on par with Josh Heupel. And then Tennessee said, you know what, enough of this. And I don't even perceive that as being Josh Heupel's ego. I just think that's a situation where a player overplayed their leverage, and he paid the price for it, because now he's at a lesser program with less talent, and might be a rough year.
Yeah, it's always been more humbling at the pro level than at the college level. I don't know if it was true or not. Lou Holtz used to tell the story that one year he was head coach of the New York Jets, had won at William & Mary, had won at NC State, gets the Jets job, only lasted a year, only 13 games that year before Arkansas hired him to replace Frank Broyles. But that summer at training camp, he wanted to have a big team building night and wrote a team fight song and passed out the lyrics and got somebody in there to lead it. He said Joe Namath wadded it up and gave it back to him and said, "I'm not singing any fight songs."
Right. There you go. That's the tale as old as time. The star players, they kind of have their way and their say. It's just I think it's going to a whole new level here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different world we're now living in college athletics. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll do it again next Monday.
Okay, guys, thanks.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. David Cobb with us every Monday on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line from CBS Sports. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies, and that great location at Poplar and Perkins in Laurelwood at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones, his great team, part of the fabric of the community with all that they do in sports and in other things, charities and other things. But they do love sports, supporters of Tigers Athletics, and they will be with us at SEC Media Days. They will be the leaderboard sponsor for us at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. And when we get back to college football on Mondays at 4:30 every week, we'll bring the weekend in the SEC report to you again from our great friends at Sissy's Log Cabin. They are the Mid-South's largest. They have the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, wedding bands. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more since 1970, with all the great locations across the Mid-South. The official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies, and at FedEx Forum with the Floor Seat Lounge, proud sponsors and supporters of Tiger Athletics. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, we need to get to another break. We talked a lot about the Desmond Bane trade in and of itself earlier, but now what does this mean? How does this impact the rest of this offseason and next year for the Grizzlies? We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
The very last thing anyone wants is to burden their family after passing. That's why having a trust or a will is essential. It ensures your loved ones, your spouse, children, or anyone you care about clearly understand your wishes and don't have to deal with confusion, drama, or legal hassles while grieving. Without a will, your assets could be distributed in ways you never intended. People you care about could be left out completely. Also, probate can be a long, complicated, expensive process. And it's avoidable if you have a simple trust in place. A trust or a will sets a clear plan for how you want your estate handled. They're simple, affordable, give you peace of mind. I have a simple, revocable trust, and knowing my family won't have to go through probate brings real comfort. Trustandwill.com. They make it easy. They're the leaders in creating personalized trusts and wills to protect your legacy and loved ones. Do the right thing. Protect your family. Visit trustandwill.com today for total peace of mind.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop Sissy'sLogCabin.com or stop by any of our
across 7 locations. Begin the rest of your life in green. Only at 60's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's gotten heavier, 40 East, as we check it out live over here at Hollywood, all the way over to White Station. There's been some stalls out here in the last few minutes. TDOT, those help trucks have been jumping already in certain parts of town, trying to help some stalled vehicles. Traffic still moving right now south of Memphis, but it's building pretty good, actually, with that steady flow of traffic 55 southbound down through South Haven. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them this week at Weimer's Jewelry out there on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We've talked a lot about this Desmond Bane trade, but now what does this mean going forward for the Grizzlies? We feel like this is just the first of more trades coming down throughout the offseason. But we now know that this team will look different going into next season. At the very least, we know the core three will not be there on opening night with Desmond Bane's departure. But I don't know, Brett, what does this mean? How do things look going into next season for the Grizzlies?
Yeah, we don't think this is the only deal. So I wouldn't put too much into that Bobby Marks infographic we referenced earlier. I don't think this is the team that if the Grizzlies, whatever seed they are, first game of the playoffs next spring, that this is the team. Mm-hmm. How much more will be added? Is this positioning to add Giannis into this team? You throw Giannis in there with Ja and Jaren and capable of other parts, the answer, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Definitely.
Are you better off than you were when you exited the playoffs last spring? Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And so, I just, I'm the more we go into weeks and weeks and not hearing, the less I think Giannis will be moved this offseason. I mean, if he is, I think if you're the Grizzlies, you try to get at the front of that line and see what you can do to try to make that work and try to get in to play for Giannis. But the more days go by, the further we get away from those initial reports that they could be moving him or that he would want to be moved, the less I am confident in them moving him. I'm starting to feel more and more like he'll be a part of that of that Milwaukee team. I guess the other one is what happens with Phoenix. I've seen a lot of people say not necessarily getting Kevin Durant, but obviously they are open to making moves and open to doing things, and they're looking to get some draft capital back. Could you go to Phoenix and try to get something from them? I don't know what that would look like.
If it included Devin Booker, bring it on.
Sure. I that's another guy. I don't know how willing they'd be to move him, but I think there are definitely options out there, and you certainly have a lot of stuff to play with now if you're the Grizzlies to try to make some other deals happen.
I was going to save this for 5:30.
Okay.
But I think I'll play it now if I can get to it really quickly. Got odds out about everything, but got this from betonline.ag, betonline.ag, and it has the odds for Ja Morant's next team.
Okay.
Miami Heat 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He really helps them.
Yeah.
And boy, could he sit down with Tyler Hero that removed all doubt he's an imbecile this weekend.
What'd he do?
Have you heard about the podcast he was on?
No.
Where he is now denying that anything in history before 1950 really didn't happen.
Really?
Try telling that to 6 million Jews that were killed by Adolf Hitler,
that's
Tyler.
Insane. That is...
Try telling that to people that landed at Normandy Beach.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Try telling that to people on the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
Or the Titanic.
Sure, yeah.
Or a lot... And guess what his central theme? It started with sports with, a bunch of dope heads. on this, and the median IQ of this group was about a shoe size.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what really got him going, Bryant?
I have no idea. This is all new to me. I didn't know this happened.
The Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game.
Best sports conspiracy theory out there, Brett. It's my favorite.
Trust me. Trust me. It is no conspiracy.
Oh, let the record show.
I even gave you a book.
You did.
On Hershey, PA that night.
I want to just make sure the record is straight that I do not believe that he did not.
And I'm not insinuating. I'm not insinuating that you did.
I just want everyone to know because I love to make jokes about it. I love to bring it up. It's one of my favorite things out there. But I am not one that believes that just so that I can separate myself from Tyler Hero.
You know, I'd like to ask Tyler Hero, do you not think Jackie Robinson breaking the color line happened?
Yeah. That's,
I mean, how big a dope do you have to be?
Well, also, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, 1950 is not, like, that long ago in the history of history. Like,
it's 12 years before I arrived.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, that's like a weird year to pick, you know? Like, if you're going to say that, like, I mean, it's crazy to say.
I can keep going if you'd like. Does he not believe FDR and the New Deal happened?
No, yeah. I mean, it's a crazy thing to say to begin with of any year, but
not one, but two world wars.
Yeah, but 1950 is just a strange year. I'd go back further in history if I was gonna say I don't believe anything before.
Everything happened at Kitty Hawk with with the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
That happened.
I did not see that.
The Rockefellers.
Yeah, I missed that.
Anyway, if he joins John Morant's next team, Miami 3-1, Brooklyn 4-1, Sacramento 5-1, Houston 6-1, Charlotte 9-1. I don't think any of that's happening.
Who was that last team you said? I missed that.
Charlotte 9-1.
Okay, interesting.
If it did happen, we do not think Ja's being dealt. No. I am fine if he does get dealt. I'm fine because I cannot watch one more time that he's splattered and hauled off and gonna miss 8 weeks. Yeah. And more than that, that front office, they can't take it.
No.
When he gets carted off and they stuck with him yet again in the, I think, short-term gain of selling suites and tickets and skyboxes and making money off of him instead of the long-term pain of let's just do it now.
Yeah, no, I
they goes before he gets loaded up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if he were to be dealt, who would he really help the most? What would be more likely to you? Miami, Brooklyn, Sacramento, Houston, or Charlotte?
I would say probably Miami. Obviously they need some changes. They're not in the spot they want to be in right now. I don't think going forward. So I would say probably Miami. I think you can make a case for Sacramento as well. I would probably say those two.
Sportsbetting.ag with all the updated odds, including Jaren Jackson's next team.
Okay, all right, hit me with them.
Lakers 3-1. Pistons 4-1.
Okay.
It would be a little bit soul crushing to see him be the Pau Gasol piece with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And that would be about like that.
Yeah, it sure would.
I think.
Yeah, it sure would be.
Pistons 4-1. He would really help them. Philadelphia 9-2. That's plus 450. Golden State 7-1. San Antonio 15-2 plus 750.
Interesting. Yeah, I did see. I saw a couple people start kind of floating out there the idea just on social media. Not anybody here, but I saw a couple of people throw out Jaren to the Lakers and what he would mean for them, adding that piece. So that is interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think Jaren helps all of those teams. I think the interesting thing that is different between Ja next spots and Jaren next spots is all of the teams for Jaren are teams that are looking to go for it right now. And I don't think you can say the same thing about Ja. And I think it's different. Jaren, you can plug him in and go. Ja would be a guy you bring in and you try to build around him. He's one of your really core pieces. So I think that's kind of why you see Charlotte and Brooklyn in there. But those are both really interesting. I saw earlier odds for next team for Kevin Durant. I think those were Bovada odds, and it had Miami as the leader right now for Kevin Durant. But it sounds like Phoenix thinks they're getting lowballed on all of the trade offers for Kevin Durant. So it feels like maybe that's not going to be as easy as they thought it was to move him. And that really feels like, we saw this trade go down, but it feels like the iceberg is the Kevin Durant trade of when that happens. That is going to really set up the rest of the NBA offseason.
On the old proverbial 1 to 10 with the Desmond move, where does that rank?
In terms of
blockbuster, cataclysmic, big.
I think it's up there. It's over 5.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would say probably. It's certainly not Luka to the Lakers. That is an all-out 10.
And we can only have 1 10, and that's Ja, right?
Yeah, sure. In terms
Jaren
of
a 9?
Sure, in terms of...
Or a 9-9?
Yeah. In terms of just the Grizzlies,
hold it. As a show, do we go
I don't
point?
know.
Or is it like our pluses and minuses on grading?
I think to just
Landon, you decide.
I think to just make everything easier, whole numbers are
whole
the
numbers.
best.
Yeah, whole numbers.
I think just keep it to whole numbers.
I think so too.
I would say this is probably like a 7. I think it's.
What's it take
there.
league-wide for this offseason between now and the dust settles? Mm-hmm. These are the teams for opening night, 25, 26. What's it take for it to be a 10?
Well, I think both Kevin Durant and Giannis are moved. I think it has to start with that.
Then we're gonna have it.
Really?
I think so.
Okay. Then that would be blockbuster. That'd be 10.
All right. If we went to decimal, if it was 9-7, you throw in Ja. Does that make it a 10 with Giannis and?
Oh yeah.
Well, we're already at 10 with those two in there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think anything that is if you're going to get a 10, I think it starts with those two big dogs moved.
Kevin Durant next team. Okay. You mentioned that though, didn't you?
I mentioned. I think Miami. The one I saw, Miami.
Knicks 12-1, like
really?
number 5.
Wow, interesting. I know there were some reports last week that they could get into that mix. Toronto. I'm seeing a lot of people say Toronto is kind of the dark horse team to keep an eye on for Kevin Durant as they kind of try to quickly build a team to make a swing. But
second non-Power 5 team listed after Boise, the Memphis Tigers at 8-1.
Wow, that. I'll be honest, Brett. That shocked me when you said that earlier. With
better
David
odds to make the playoffs than Florida.
Wow, yeah, that shocked me. I don't think I'd put them.
That's not right. Florida's at 4-1. I'm
okay.
sorry.
So but still, to be second in the group of 5, that just shows this consistency of success for Memphis, because I think you're seeing a lot of people kind of just have what do we do with this Tiger team right now? It's a lot of unknown.
I think it's a really hard team to get a handle on.
Very hard.
Before we let W's. I had no inhibition last year at everything I predicted, and I don't think it was. Except for when you set a bar of undefeated, you're going to look terrible.
Oh yeah.
With anything more than 1. Well,
right.
they had 2.
Right. Yeah.
But I've had worse predictions. I still don't regret it. I'll never regret it.
No, certainly not. And so I
for your quarterback, I'll defend it to the end of time.
Absolutely. So I'm surprised that they are second in those odds, but definitely it makes you feel good going into the season, and certainly I think reflective of the success that they've had. Obviously, having Ryan Silverfield there as your head coach and the success he has had here at Memphis. Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's Now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines of the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Hey everybody, it's summer, so come and get your new and affordable 2026 All-Star Chevy Equinox right here in Olive Branch. Financing is down to 6.6% for 72 months. All new 2025 Silverados with $6,500 cash back and financing down to 2.9 for 36 months. It's here, so go big and get a new Silverado 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9 for 60 months and not one payment for 90 days. And your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And all the certified and pre-owned cars you want, like this Corvette Stingray and more Tahoes and Silverados, then you'll find in one place, anywhere, right here in Olive Branch. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Vacation road trips and all your summer fun begins right here in Olive Branch with our friends at All-Star Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. AllStarAutoGroup.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Brett, my big number today is the number 2. A very small number for this segment, but it is a really interesting stat out of Major League Baseball. In MLB history, only 2 times has a player had 25 or more home runs, 10 or more stolen bases, and 5 or more triples before July in a season. It has only happened twice in MLB history. Most recently, over the weekend, Shohei Ohtani it happened the second time this year for Shohei Ohtani. The first time it ever happened was also Shohei Ohtani, who did it in 2023. And tonight he will be returning to the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So back to pitching, back to hitting. Shohei Ohtani back to doing it all.
And inevitably, the comparisons to the greatest baseball player ever,
That's right.
Babe Ruth.
That's right, yeah.
Babe Ruth, famous for 714 home runs, famous for a lot of things. Also famous for being a great pitcher. Shohei Ohtani enters tonight 38-19 all time as a pitcher.
Wow.
Babe Ruth, different time. I know Tyler Hero probably wouldn't recognize this portion of history. Babe Ruth, 94-46 as a starting pitcher.
Wow. Elite. Dominant on the mound.
Really was.
Really was. Doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It's always a stick.
Your big number was 2. Mine is 22.
Okay.
That was Desmond Bain's
Sure
uniform with the Grizzlies. He was 1/3 of the medium-sized 3. He's now in Orlando. Like another number 22 at the end with the Grizzlies, he couldn't please a lot of people. That other number 22 was Rudy Gay.
Oh, yeah.
At 5:30, I've got a blind resume. Who was the better Grizzly?
Oh, no.
Rudy Gay or
Okay.
Desmond Bain?
Well, Rudy Gay was great. I loved Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay was great. We don't even need to do it. It's overwhelmingly Rudy Gay.
All right. Can you give him to me? I want to.
Okay, real quick. I will. Playoff wins, Desmond Bain, 9. Rudy Gay, only 3.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Of these 6 bullet points, that's one of 2 that Desmond Bain wins.
Okay. All right.
Games played, Rudy Gay, 479. Desmond Bain, 313. Points scored, 85-62 for Rudy Gay, 55-80 for Bain. Rebounds, 27-58 for Gay, 14-38 for Bain. Now, Rudy Gay played here longer, too. Assist, Bain wins that, 1179 to 954 for Rudy Gay. Why would Rudy Gay want to be passing it? As prolific a scorer as he was. Steals, 640 for Rudy Gay to 312 for Desmond Bain.
Wow.
You think Grizz fan would believe that Desmond Bain was not as good as Rudy Gay? Because Rudy Gay was absolutely chased out of here by 1 or 2 punks that got on him, and I mean just drove the narrative to get rid of him.
Yeah, it's a good question.
When it should have been a core 5.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, I love Rudy Gay. It was a sad day for me when Rudy Gay was traded from the Grizzlies.
But we had to get impressions and make our mark, and let's dog Rudy Gay.
Yeah, no, not something I would want to do. Because you're right. I mean, just a prolific scorer, a just great, unbelievable player. I mean, one of my favorite guys watching growing up. But that was a fun blind resume, kind of semi-blind resume, since we kind of already knew about the
I think we took the blindfold off.
Yeah,
I think it was totally.
I think so. Maybe
vision was fine.
Maybe like my glasses off resume. I don't know. Like not necessarily blind.
Well, that's blind to me.
Well, yeah.
Well, I can't see anything now.
Well, I can see some things, not everything. But we need to wrap up this second hour and get to another break. And when we return, we're going to continue to talk about Desmond Bain, talk about this trade that took place yesterday morning. DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, he'll join us next. We got to talk Desmond Bain. We got to talk this offseason. We got to talk, are the Grizzlies going to make a pick at number 16? If so, who are some prospects? Who knew that we went from not really caring about the first round draft prospects to now we really care who's there around 16 if the Grizzlies keep this pick? A lot to get to when it comes to the Grizzlies. We'll talk all of it next with DeMichael Cole.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home or office. Call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 or visit memphismoldinspector.com. It's time for fun, family, and fabulous prizes at the 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through 21st. Call for golfers can win cash and prizes every night, along with the chance to win $25,000 toward a City Auto vehicle purchase select nights. Then a chance to win $1 million the final night. Plus, there are cornhole tournaments every night with cash and prizes. Friday and Saturday nights, there are kids' carnival rides and 2 to 4 Saturday children's golf. So golfers, grab your clubs. Cornholers, practice your aim. Families, bring the kids. Memphis, there's something for everyone. You're invited to the biggest party of the year at St. Louis Church, 203 South White Station Road. The 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through the 21st. Fun, family, and fabulous prizes all week as you help raise funds supporting youth programs at St. Louis Church.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to the retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. Also stores in Cleveland, Mississippi and Little Rock. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church downtown Memphis.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's gotten heavier through Midtown. Just in the last few minutes, 240 southbound at South Parkway. It's cranking them now on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. We have seen some weather moving in certain parts of Tipton County, north of Memphis, and also out in Fayette County. You could drive into it at times. I-40 going eastbound out towards Fayette County, up towards Jackson, Tennessee. Lots of thunderstorms. Dandelions, crabgrass, Lawn Solutions here in Memphis says give them a call. They'll take care of it for you. Lawn Solutions, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Martin. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Biloxi. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. You said you love.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now, maybe the busiest man in the city, maybe in the country, after that news that came out yesterday. DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. What were your initial thoughts, your initial reaction yesterday when you saw the news that Desmond Bane was going to Orlando and what the Grizzlies were getting back in return?
Man, it was like, right now? That was my initial thoughts. Like, we talked about it. I talked about it with you guys as much as anyone, that the inevitable was coming with this big three. We talked about the fact that, next year with these guys' contracts going up, and now next year turned into this year because Jaren Jackson Jr. didn't make All-NBA. So, when you have to renegotiate and extend, he was going to get a pay bump this upcoming season. which meant the time was now in order for them to say, look, do we believe in this core, or do we want to kind of, retool it and let's see and look. Yeah, injuries have played a role, and I know we haven't always gotten to see, a lot of these three guys playing together, but again, the sample size is a sample size. It's been 3 seasons now where we just haven't seen much playoff productivity, and that's the goal here. You want to win playoff games. You want to win playoff series. The Grizzlies have one playoff series win in this core's time, so it's a situation where it's about retooling this thing and kind of reinventing.
DeMichael, you just pure and simply laid out facts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are the facts.
Yeah. When you remove the emotion out of the situation, the emotion will say, man, the Grizzlies got these 3 young guys. They all came up together, and they play well together. They have fun together. They share the leadership responsibilities. But then when you really get into it, you're like, man, yeah, like offensively, Ja and Dez complement each other very well. One attacking the basket, one of the best paint scorers in the league. The other one's one of the best shooters in the league. But then what about when you get to the defensive end? And when you get to the defensive end, Ja's got certain limitations that are always going to be limitations just because he's 6'2", 180 pounds. Desmond Bane, same thing. Like, Desmond Bane is a very trying defender. I don't think anyone's looking at Desmond Bane saying he's a terrible defender by any stretch. But he never, was much of a defensive playmaker. You didn't see him really getting a lot of deflections, getting a lot of steals, blocks and things like that. He gave you the effort, but it was a point where, quite frankly, the Grizzlies weren't getting enough from Ja and Dez defensively, where they had to almost, that other perimeter player had to be a great defender, or they needed that person to be a great defender because, they didn't have that role, with Dez and with Ja. And so, yeah, it's just a situation where, look, you could say offensively those two played well together. They challenged each other as leaders and things like that. But how far was this team really going to go with this trio leading the way? And I think this is a sign to say, hey, look, we're okay with going ahead, take the Band-Aid off, and let's give another try at this thing while these guys are still young.
Mm-hmm. And the return for Desmond Bane, 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony. What do you make of that return, and how do you think the Grizzlies use this return? Brett and I talked about it, that we certainly don't think this is the only move the Grizzlies will make this offseason. It feels like with some of these pieces that they got in return, that some of those could be moved in future deals this offseason.
Yeah, well, that's an important point there. You got to consider the fact that they broke up one big contract into multiple. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, now you have easier to move contracts, whereas a contract like Desmond Bane's, for example, that's a massive contract. It's not easy to just part off that contract, but in the case of Des, he was a good enough player to command, what he did. So you broke up those contracts. Broke up that contract, which was good. But it's all about the draft capital. And the draft capital in this case gives the Grizzlies the flexibility to go multiple routes. The number one thing that we've talked about all off season so far, and we'll continue to emphasize, is the fact that the primary goal is getting Jaren Jackson Jr. done. And now you have the flexibility to say, let's say there may be a contract on the Grizzlies roster that they couldn't part with, at first, or quite frankly, it's just going to be easier for them now because they have the assets. If they want to attach some draft capital or whatever the case may be to move off of one of those contracts to create more space before the new league year, they can do that and create more space, get Jaren a higher number in his renegotiation and extension, and you'd be done with that. You get the Jaren Jackson Jr. situation done. So I think it helps in that situation, but it also helps from the standpoint of what you guys are talking about in terms of now you could attach a couple of those picks, maybe a couple of those other contracts, and go get you, a big fish, so to speak. Go get you a nice player. So they have a lot of flexibility here. They have the ability to go multiple routes. They have so much. The Grizzlies already were in a great position with draft capital before they even did this. So now they put themselves in a situation where they have some of the best draft capital in the league. The likes of, you think of, I think, man, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, and teams like that who over the last couple of years have really done a great job of stockpiling, a bunch of assets. The Grizzlies are starting to put themselves in that conversation.
DeMichael, Desmond Bain was as good as gone when the clock hit zeros in the elimination game against Oklahoma City, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably when you can say the writing started to really come on the wall. You see the tea leaves and you see, the Grizzlies have been very vocal about the fact we're not moving Ja. The Grizzlies have also been very vocal about, this Jaren Jackson Jr. contract extension. It's important. It's something they want to get done. So mixed in between that is the fact that Desmond Bain kind of just became the odd man out. And I think, it was always going to be tough. And quite frankly, I don't think the Grizzlies were going to, if teams would have tried to make them bluff, I don't think the Grizzlies were going to part with Dez easily. They probably would have run it back for one more year, whatever the case may be. It got to a point where, again, we're talking about no playoff success here. We're talking about, the injury issues, with the three guys and whatnot. And then if you go back to Game 3 of the Oklahoma City series, Ja leaves in the first half, and you don't get much from Dez and Jaren as this duo that should have been able to hold on to that lead. If they were this real dynamic duo, but they weren't able to. Mm-hmm. And I think that Game 3 against OKC, that was a very telling sign. We're like, man, those two guys, you can't really depend on them to, carry a team for large stretches against certain caliber opponents. So, I think it got to the point where Dez just essentially became the odd man out of the core three.
Yeah, that's a great observation by you, DeMichael, because it really did feel like watching that comeback from OKC without Ja Morant out there, that was really kind of the moment that a lot of things changed in a lot of people's minds. I want to get to these first-round picks a little bit more, especially this year's first-round pick, in a second, but the two players they got in return, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, you mentioned kind of breaking up that big contract into two different players that you can maybe move or at least you could do stuff with. How do you view both of these players in terms of their fit with this roster, and do you think one has a better chance of being on this roster at the start of the season?
Yeah, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope fits the roster well. He's a wing. He's a stout wing defender, which the Grizzlies have clearly coveted as of late. They need more of those. He can do that. He can shoot the three-point ball. He's not some just amazing three-point shooter. But the proof's in the pudding. He's been a solid three-point shooter for most of his career. Even if you go back to last season, he struggled. Well, this season still, but he struggled, for a large part of it. And then the calendar flipped to January, mid-January or so. He turned into a 38, 39% three-point shooter for the remainder of the season. So when you factor all of that in, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he can be that, low-volume, knock-down shots, play defense, do the dirty work type of guy. Cole Anthony, I think it's a little bit of, a different situation where he's that spark plug off the bench, with Orlando, and they needed his scoring a little bit more. To me, there's some overlap with him and Scottie Pippen Jr., both being, kind of like scoring first guards, energy guys who, want to put the ball in the basket and get teammates involved, smaller guys at that. I don't see the fit. I don't see the fit with him and Scottie Pippen Jr. sharing a backcourt. So it feels like that's going to be a situation where it's hey, choose one of these guys. I could be wrong, but that's my sense. Two smaller guards, both play similar. It's not like one of them is like much more of a playmaker than the other. They're both kind of scoring guards who can do some facilitating here and things like that. So when we talk about fit, I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has a more natural fit, and his situation is natural in terms of he could be a starter, or he could come into a situation where the Grizzlies are asking him to come off the bench if they go out and acquire the type of talent that that's demanded in order for them to be back into the level of contention that they were possibly on par with Dez.
DeMichael, do you think a next deal is if or when?
Oh, just when, without a doubt, without a doubt.
So give me a time frame. Before draft?
I think we could be talking about during the draft, or we could talk about shortly after.
That means you're at FedEx Forum until about 4:00 in the morning that night. You know that, don't you?
Look, I've processed it. I've already mentally accepted. Look, if I can, get my whole Father's Day taken away from me, then I'm built for anything, man.
That's right.
I had a whole day planned out, and let me tell you, nothing on the plans happened. But yeah, I think draft day and potentially shortly after is possible. As soon as the NBA Finals conclude, you're going to see the Grizzlies really start to work the phones with trying to figure out something with their own guys, and that's going to set the tone. And when I say figure out something with their own guys, Jaren Jackson Jr., Santi Aldama, how they want to extend these guys, what it's going to look like, and that's going to set the tone for a lot. Because if it becomes if it becomes more difficult, especially in the case of Santi, than Jaren, then you're going to start to see the aggression kind of go up, in my opinion. So I think it won't be long. I think the Grizzlies kind of will get ahead of free agency here and be the aggressors.
Well, you mentioned Santi Aldama. What is the read right now on getting Santi Aldama extended, bringing him back next year? Is it something that is kind of a priority for the Grizzlies right now, or how are they going about Santi Aldama?
Yeah, I think that's still something that's likely. I think Santi being back is at this point, only way I think Santi doesn't come back is some team just drastically says we're going to see how much the Grizzlies are willing to pay and offer him a massive contract or something like that. But overall, I think it's a situation where I expect Santi to be extended just as well as Jaren.
Man, you mentioned that we could see something on draft night. We kind of went from obviously we're going to pay attention in general terms of the first round, but nothing really for the Grizzlies there, to now, hey, you've got a first round pick at number 16. Do I need to start getting out my scouting hat and start looking at these guys, or do you think that the Grizzlies will? So you think the Grizzlies will be making that 16th pick, or at least something in the first round?
I think so right now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think. The one thing that you got to remember is teams like the Grizzlies, they're doing their homework on prospects all year long. So it's not a situation where they're caught off guard and like, oh no, let's try to hurry up and learn about some lottery picks or guys projected to go in the top 20. Like, you do your homework all season long, just in case. And quite frankly, they were on par to have a pick in this range.
Yeah.
If they would have lost to the Mavs, they would have ended up picking probably at 18. Well, not at 18, but somewhere in that range in the late lottery. So, but yeah, I think there are a lot of names that make sense. And, based on what we just saw in this trade, getting a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, based on the conversations that I've heard, based on what we've heard, Zach Kleiman say, out loud and whatnot, the defense is a priority. Like, the Grizzlies want to get back to having those dogs, to having that defensive mindset, that toughness. And I think they could target someone in the draft who kind of embodies that.
Last year, the defense was very suspect. It was almost organizationally that it wanted to be high octane and a little less emphasis on defense, and it cost Taylor Jenkins. Now we read and hear and see that Taylor Jenkins is kind of a finalist for the New York Knicks job. DeMichael, nobody worked more closely with Taylor Jenkins than you did over the years. Do you think he's got the stuff for the Big Apple, that he's cut out for that job?
The thing about it, when you get an opportunity like that, is it has to be different. You don't want any redundancy at the coaching position, and quite frankly, he is almost as different as they come, from Tom Thibodeau. I mean, they are completely different coaches, from the standpoint of, they both have this sense of urgency to a whole nother level on defense. But Taylor likes to play, 10 guys, 9 guys. Tibbs likes to play his best guys 37, 38 minutes. We rarely saw that in Memphis. If a guy was playing 32 minutes, there were times where the Grizzlies, during the 2021-22 seasons, where they didn't have a player in the top 50, top 60 in minutes per game, and Thibodeau-led teams would have, 4 players in that same top 50. So completely different from that landscape. But can he handle it? I mean, I always thought Taylor Jenkins was a solid coach. And whereas he had his problems, I think what we've seen post-Taylor Jenkins era has shown that the Grizzlies weren't necessarily flawless either. I mean, they just moved off of Desmond Bain, which was one of the core players that Taylor Jenkins was, given during his tenure. They also, got swept in the first round and, struggled without Ja Morant in the first round against Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, guess what? Taylor Jenkins only got, 40 or so odd games of Ja Morant this past season. So, it was a tough situation for Taylor, but, he kind of had his mistakes as well. So I think he's a solid coach. I think Taylor can handle that, and he'll be different. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets that job. I want to see what he could do with it.
Yeah, no, definitely something to keep an eye on. You wrote about the Grizzlies and if they should, if they could, what the deal is with Marvin Bagley, especially now with the Zach Edey injury. It feels like Zach Edey will miss the start of the regular season, and who knows when we could see him back on the court. Where are you at with Marvin Bagley? What would that look like for the Grizzlies? Is that something they should consider? And kind of what is in play right now to be kind of a option for your starting center going into the season?
Well, you got to look at the situation like, okay, what do we lose with Zach Edey that we necessarily don't have? Like what's replaceable, what's not replaceable? The scoring is very replaceable with guys like Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama, Jaren Jackson Jr. You could replace the scoring easily. The defense is somewhat replaceable, but what you lose is the rebounding, is the screen setting ability, without a doubt. Those are the two things that easily stand out. And you go look at the numbers from this past season where when Zach Edey was in the game, the Grizzlies were a top 10 rebounding team in the NBA. When he's out of the game, you're talking about a team that's in the bottom third of the NBA in rebounding. So drastic difference when you talk about the on-off ability of a guy, like Zach Edey as a rebounder. So with that being said, that's clearly going to be a weakness if you don't go out and get someone else who can be a strong rebounder who can kind of hold the fort down. Marvin Bagley was a small sample size, and he's never really, at least in his NBA career, graded out as some great rebounder. But there were positives, to the small sample size that we saw, with him. Like I think he had a nice double-double in that last game of the season when, most of the Grizzlies sat out and, he got some extended time. So we didn't really get to see much of Marvin Bagley in Memphis, but what we know over the course of his career is, he's a guy who's going to play with energy. He's always been a big-time athlete. Like, he's a 5-star recruit. He's always had the ability to rebound the basketball. So, I like it from the standpoint of he's someone you can go get for cheap. He's already forging strong relationships with some players on the team. And you just got to hold down the fort. You just got to accept the fact, like, hey, we're not going to be the best rebounding team in the NBA, but we need to make sure we're not one of the worst.
Yeah, and definitely, because, again, it feels like, hopefully, I guess the hope is that Zach Edey, doesn't miss a ton of time after the season starts, and definitely just getting kind of a stopgap there to start the season. Well, DeMichael, I know it has been a busy last couple days for you. It's going to continue to be busy with all of this news. Yeah, absolutely killing it for the Commercial Appeal. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, appreciate you guys. Until next time.
Thanks, DeMichael.
Thank you. Thank you so much. DeMichael Cole with us from the Commercial Appeal, and he has been on it since early yesterday, and sounds like he's going to be on it through draft night.
Oh yeah, no, it is
up until free agency.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's not going to slow down. You know, we talk about it a lot with the NBA of how quick it is, and it's just bang, 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 just one thing after the other. And certainly with the Grizzlies going out there making moves yesterday, it definitely makes it even more busy for him. And I thought interesting that he thinks the Grizzlies will make a pick in the first round of this year's draft.
I was surprised with that as well. Brian, I really hate doing this to Oklahoma City and Indiana, the Smallville finals.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But it's been good finals. We're at 2-2. I don't think many thought Indiana would get a second win. Then we thought they would go up 3-1 and maybe be preparing for a parade, and they blow the game Friday night. Now it's 2-2, and all the advantage kind of back to Oklahoma City. But I'm ready to get to the NBA offseason more than I am the finals, and I wouldn't want to be done like that if it's us someday in the finals.
Yeah, that's how it is a lot of time, especially when you have that team in your market. Is if they're out, you're ready to see them make some moves. Yeah, and it's a lot of times. I think any sport, when that team that you follow really closely, when their season's done, you're ready to get to the offseason. You're ready to see, okay, what's next? What do those moves look like? But no, this NBA Finals has been incredible. We'll talk a little bit about it in our next segment. But yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun, but it's just that's kind of how it goes. And so, no, I do not blame you for that at all. And we'll see very soon, I'm sure, some more moves.
Oklahoma City all of a sudden back to being super team.
That's right, yeah.
Going to win 5 and 10, aren't they?
It's one of those. I mean, it's just it swings back and forth every single game. Based on if they win or lose, they're either super team or not super team. So we'll see after tonight. Do they continue to be super team, or is it back to square one? And
up 3-2. They're behemoth of all time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk more about that in our next segment. But before we get to this break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsors, Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Will Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash with Fiveash Roofing. Ever wonder what happens when a contractor saves money on materials? Well, they usually put that money in their pocket. Fiveash Roofing has negotiated new lower prices for the materials we use. Instead of putting that savings in my pocket, I've decided to pass it on to you. You can call it a sale, reduced pricing, a limited time offer, or even a blue light special. We call it fair, honest, ethical, and the right thing to do. If you've been wondering if now is the right time to get a new roof, only you can answer that, but now is a good time to see how much you can save. Don't forget we have best price guarantees, the best warranty in the business, and superb ratings with the BBB and Google+. We don't use high-pressure sales tactics, and we never will. We're family-owned and operated with roots in the Memphis area. For a fair and honest roof assessment and estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 488-4991 or check us out at memphisroofer.com.
Whoa, more fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation and belly pain still coming back.
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It
I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations. Fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe. Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwoods. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, either beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwoods even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now with 2 locations and open every day for you. This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been very eventful today. Trying to get down 240 East between Mill Branch and 385 Billmore Parkway. You name it, we've seen it. Midtown traffic still a little bit heavy. I-40 up by Chelsea. Still dodging some showers north of Memphis up in Tipton County. Be careful. Hey, dandelions, crabgrass. Lawn Solutions says we'll take care of this for you. Call Lawn Solutions today here in Memphis at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and what's trending tonight is Game 5 of the NBA Finals. All knotted up 2 apiece with the Thunder getting the win Friday night, a big-time fourth quarter for them to win that game. And now we'll see what happens tonight. Who has the advantage? I mentioned it earlier. Pacers have shown they can win on the road. They've done it in OKC in Game 1. Can they do it again here in Game 5? Would certainly feel great going back to Indiana if they can get a win tonight. But right now, OKC a 9.5-point favorite.
And that 3-2 Indiana is the math that that they dreamed of, and we thought they were going to at minimum have that, or maybe even going for winning it tonight. But regardless of who wins tonight, somebody's going to be one game shy of their first title ever.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. Whoever wins tonight, clearly has the upper hand. You just got to win one more, and so you got to imagine.
Simple math.
Yeah, I mean you got to imagine that both teams are going to be going after it tonight, and it could be a really, really fun game.
I had a friend of mine that just assumed that Indiana was going to win Friday night. He didn't know that Oklahoma City came back until I told him Saturday.
Holy cow.
And this is a good fan.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, no, I mean, that was a fun game. I was worried because, we were talking about it on Friday, and I felt pretty good about the Thunder getting that win Friday night. And so I was getting a little worried there in the third quarter, and even a little bit in the fourth quarter of, okay, man, this is getting rough. And then ultimately Thunder able to do what they needed to do late to close that one out and get the win. But no, I mean, the Pacers, you got to give them a ton of credit for what they've done throughout this finals and how they fought. I mean, again, going back to it, nobody thought that they would even be in this spot. You mentioned it earlier. earlier, nobody thought they would get 2 wins in this series, and here they are, tied up with a massive game tonight.
Disappointed.
Yeah, oh no,
That word.
You felt really good if you're the Pacers, with that opportunity at home to get that win, the way that they were playing in that game Friday night. You felt like, hey, we can get this win and really, be up 3-1 and have, now 3 opportunities to get that final win. And so, definitely a little bit of disappointment for Indiana there.
And now if the upset occurs and they head back up 3-2, start icing some champagne down.
Oh yeah, no, it gets really exciting, and then with the opportunity to go back home and win it in front of your home fans would be incredible for Indiana. So tonight's a huge game. Tonight is massive. Neither team is going to want to lose this game. So I do think this could be 9.5. I was a little surprised when I saw that was the spread for tonight's game.
Had you really not heard about the Tyler Hero?
I had no
podcast.
I knew the podcast he was on. So I know whoever, I don't know his name, but I've seen the guy that he was with during that, I think it was a live stream. And so I saw it, but I never clicked on it because I don't like the guy that he was with, and I'm not a huge Tyler Hero fan at all. Or either. So
Mr. Bubble.
Yeah, well, he sure was. So I every time I saw it a couple times over the weekend. I just scrolled past it. I never paid any attention to it. So that was news to me earlier today when you brought it up that he, I guess, doesn't believe in anything in history.
Just wiped out half of the 20th century.
Again, pick a year, okay, that's still crazy, but 1950, that seems a little like not that far back. Maybe if you're like anything before like the 1500s, I don't believe, then maybe I can have
Roman
a conversation.
Carthage.
Sure,
Yeah.
like maybe we can talk then, but 1950,
Peloponnesian War.
Sure, but I don't believe in the
Columbus
Romans.
sailing, the open
sure.
blue. I think he had an issue with that and got the history all messed up on that.
I have no. That's crazy. Just like to think 1950 is the mark that we're going to put. That is insane. But I guess
I mentioned earlier odds out from BetOnline.ag for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Number one, no surprise. Ohio State 76.47%. Texas second, 75. Oregon third. Georgia fourth. Penn State fifth. All those in the 70s or north. Alabama sixth, and Notre Dame sixth as well at 60%. So 6 and 7. Clemson eighth at 56.52. Boy, this is really narrowing it down, isn't it? Then LSU 41.67, tied with Ole Miss.
Ooh, really?
I thought last year was a summer of love for Ole Miss.
I thought so. I guess we're gonna run it back.
Then Boise State at 33.90, ahead of Miami, Michigan, and Tennessee. I mentioned the Tigers earlier. The second Group of 5 team at 11.11%, but second to Boise State.
Wow.
Somebody scratch up Boise, and Tigers do the rest.
Yeah, definitely. It makes you feel better. We've talked about it a lot. Certainly, still, we're starting to get into the time where odds and a lot of different things are going to come out, especially regarding the Group of 5. But
and codifying.
Yeah.
As we get closer, everybody's got to get their a little more serious hat on.
Definitely. But I am surprised that Memphis is listed as the second best odds in the Group of 5. I don't remember what we had. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Maybe the FPI from ESPN, but it had Memphis, I think, fourth or maybe even fifth. Behind a handful of teams. Tulane was in front of them. UNLV was in front of them. Obviously, Boise was in front of them. So I'm surprised that Memphis has the second best odds. But again, I think that just goes back to the idea of Memphis has shown that year after year they are going to be an extremely competitive team. This coaching staff has shown that they can get their guys ready to go and ready to compete.
Right,
and,
that's it.
Yeah,
the sign of respect.
It really
is.
The
sign of respect of what Ryan Silverfield has built and should be very appreciated.
Absolutely, because I think we talked about it. Everyone is kind of saying, what do we do with the Tigers? There's so much new here. It's hard to decide what they're going to be this year, and that's completely fine because it's very true after all the continuity you had from last year's team. But for them to put them second, that is and that's directly tied to Ryan Silverfield's the coach. We've seen that he can have successful teams out there, that he's going to put them in a good position. And it's definitely good to see. I think should build a lot of confidence for the season.
The Cardinals weekend.
Ha!
Lost 3 out of 4 in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Wasn't great. Wasn't fun to watch, Brett. Really wasn't. I mean,
I don't know if they ever win another game.
Well, at least they got one, I guess. A sweep would have been horrible. I wouldn't even know how to discuss it today if we were talking about a sweep. So at least they avoided that. But no, I mean, May is getting further and further away by the day, Brett. It's
fun little month.
It was a great month.
High water mark.
Yeah. Well, it really is starting to look like it was. But hey,
very few banners fly that we were May's team.
Yeah, nobody wants to be May's team. You want to be October's team.
No. Reggie Jackson's got maybe. No, there's no question the coolest Twitter handle ever.
Oh yeah.
At Mr. October.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. But hey,
we'll be at Mr. May.
Maybe the Cardinals should change their handle to Mr. May. I don't know. But
years ago, the Cardinal website was hacked, and at the game notes, oh my! And I'm at them that night. I'm like, what in the world? And start texting a lot of people, and it was some really graphic language.
Really?
Holy yeah!
Wow. Well, that's usually what happens. When
it described the Cardinals' play of late as blank.
Yeah. Okay.
At the game notes.
Okay. Wow. That's,
and I see it, and I hit the emergency. I hit the run down the hallway.
You're
pull
like,
the fire alarms.
Right? There's no way these game notes are right. And good for you, Brett.
They got to them.
That's crazy. Wow. Well, at least for the Cardinals' sake, they get the White Sox this week. So things could be worse.
White Sox talking about building a new ballpark on the south side. Did you read that long story?
I didn't read it all, but I did see it.
Well, it was War and Peace.
Really?
The story. It was real long.
Yeah.
I mean, my ADD kicked in about 8 times during it. And said, I scrolled down and go, where's the bottom of this?
Oh, I hate a story that I have to do that when I'm just like, all right, when's this going to end?
And I hate it for the writer because you know how the work they put into it and everything they did. And I just... Well, I got to have it about in text form. You know that.
Well,
but you know my version, even a lengthy email.
Of course, but at the same time, Brett, I'll read long pieces about a lot of things. Chicago White Sox ballpark. I don't know if it makes that cut.
Well, it was done in a much larger.
I see. Okay. I thought this was just a Chicago White Sox type
really
thing.
Well done at ESPN today about how the Battery and the Truist Park in Atlanta. That it's the new vogue thing around sports that you don't just want a stadium sitting out there in a lonely parking lot the cookie cutters in the 70s. And the ballpark village in St. Louis was part of building, the little city. And that's where the Ricketts saw we want to develop Wrigleyville.
Wow.
But, and Wrigley was great in and of itself all those years, but they bought everything and made it into Disney World of baseball. They did, and Fenway's done it, and a lot are trying to do it. That Philadelphia is now trying to do it, and they're kind of, even though they have a great ballpark, and it is, but it's still out there, kind of in the middle of a parking lot with the basketball arena and the Eagles Stadium, right by where Bet and Spectrum used to be.
That's right. Yeah, you mentioned the Battery. I had a buddy who not a baseball fan at all. Like, could not tell you.
It touched on those people. That's what they want to draw.
Yeah, and that's the thing. My buddy could not tell you anything that's going on in Major League Baseball right now. But he was in Atlanta for a week, and he texted me, and he was like, dude, this area around the ballpark is incredible.
That's what they want.
And I was like, yeah, no, it's really nice. I was like, I haven't been down there, but I've seen a lot of stuff down there. It looks really nice. And he was like, dude, it's packed down here too. Literally, he goes, it is packed down here. And I go, well, the Braves start a game in an hour and a half, so I would imagine a lot of those people are going to the game. And he was like, dude, it's so much fun. Like, I'd come here every single night. And I was like, okay, wow. So, yeah, it feels like a lot of people might be going in that direction. So, I got that report from a buddy about how good it was down there. But maybe the Cardinals can use this week to start turning things around against the White Sox. I guess that's one of the teams that you want to see when things are not going
Brian,
great.
I was pulling hard for you with Sam Burns. As far as Sam Burns, I'm not anti-JJ Spawn at all, but I was pulling for Sam Burns, and he handled it well, the ruling.
Yeah, not the way I would have handled it. I can tell you that.
Oh, I would still be breaking things.
I was shocked.
Somebody took their locker out in the clubhouse.
Yeah, who was that? I saw that.
Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, it sure was.
USGA didn't like it either. That's a past U.S. Open winner. You got to act better than that.
Yeah, no. And I saw someone quote tweeted that and said that wasn't the worst. That there was maybe some other things that might have happened in the locker room area. But no, I mean,
oh really?
Yeah. Maybe not this year, but in years past. But that wasn't nearly the worst that this player had seen. But no, I mean Sam Burns.
Oh, he had them all leaving, talking to themselves.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was.
It made Scotty Scheffler cuss.
I sure did. It sure did. I mean, the course itself. When all week last week prior to the tournament starting, we're talking about this is the most impossible course ever. And then you get to Sunday, and you get all that rain come through, and then you got to play through that. I mean, like, what are you supposed to do?
I did not enjoy it.
No, I didn't either. Certainly, as someone who had Sam Burns and the opportunity for quad with a win,
to be in the lead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I certainly did not like it.
But you know the dirty little secret of our contest.
What's that?
Landon got out to that big number and has really sit there for weeks.
Sure has. He really has.
Waiting to be gotten.
He has, and I was ready to get him. And then the rain and rules and everything got in my way. So
it's tough picking fourth, Landon.
It is tough picking fourth. A lot easier picking first.
Oh, I know it very well.
Yeah, well, you just gotta.
I've
persevere.
been picking fourth since week one.
First night, so easy.
Well, that's true. Yeah, Scotty didn't give you much this weekend.
Had Scotty and
John Rahm both were there. I mean, both were hanging out there on Sunday. I mean, but hey,
Rahm posted that +4 and was just kind of sitting there all day, watching everybody come back to him,
kind of hanging out, and it sure did. I mean, it looked like it was gonna get back to him. But no, I mean, JJ Spawn, for him has been competitive. We remember that playoff with Rory McIlroy. So, to see him get the win was fun yesterday, but nothing else was fun about that.
3 majors down, 1 to go in Memphis.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun the rest of the way, and we'll see how many of those 4 that we get here in Memphis. Well, we need to get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
One thing Bell Tavern can say with confidence is that you won't find a better selection of bourbon, whiskey, and scotch anywhere else in Memphis. Maybe anywhere. With signature cocktails like the 3 Whiskey Old Fashioned, the Barrel Aged Manhattan, and the Spicy Margarita, paired with the whiskey flights like the Tennessee Bourbon Flight and the Maker's Mark Flight. There are more amazing drink options at Bell Tavern than you could possibly work your way through in one visit. In fact, it would take many, many visits to Bell Tavern to even make a dent in the extensive selection. Grab an Uber and head to Bell Tavern.
Whoa, more fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation and belly pain still coming back.
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it. Linzess Linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in validation lab individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you
are well within reach. The one and only May sale is back at Sissy's Log Cabin, and you can save up to 50% on nearly everything in the store. This is your chance to get the service, selection, and experience that makes you feel like family at the best prices of the year. Guaranteed. Don't miss the one and only May sale at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. We can't wait to serve you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need a crunchy bite to eat? Head to Moe's for nachos, crunch wraps, tacos, salads, and more. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Crunch Time is brought to you each and every afternoon by Moe's Southwest Grill. You need catering? Well, Moe's Taco Truck is always ready to cater for you. Just give Jenny Nash a call at 901-606-3172. That's 901-606-3172. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies. Well, Brett, what I learned today is Shohei Ohtani is returning to the mound for the Dodgers tonight. It sounds like he will only go one inning for them tonight. He hasn't pitched since 2023, and it's a lot different than we see most people. Over the weekend, Max Scherzer made a rehab start in AAA. We see a lot of guys, especially when they've missed a lot of time, they'll throw a couple games in the minors. They'll start off low, maybe work their way up until they get to Major League Baseball. But Shohei Ohtani, you can't do that because his bat is so valuable. So it's it's a much different process than you would see any other pitcher in Major League Baseball. But the good news is for us as viewers is we will get to see Shohei Ohtani back on the mound. I'm curious to see what it looks like. It doesn't seem like it will be long, so you got to make sure you're in front of the television to see that one inning of Shohei tonight.
Only one inning, so he won't get career number 39.
No.
Or win number 39. At the end of his career, can't you see him being a relief pitcher?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely could.
I could too. What I learned today, give me Pac football and Big East basketball for the Tigers in a split second. Even if the money's a little shy, I think we can make it up here locally with people going to the games. But that buyout fee, whoever signed off on that, the buyout fee for the AAC, if they're still associated with the university, there should be an investigation.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing that's the major roadblock right now is how can we get out of this, and with the finances and how much
nobody in a
it.
university setting exists in a bubble. Everything has kind of, it's a lot of committees. And so you can't blame all that on Laird.
No, certainly not. And it makes you understand it a lot more when those first reports were coming out that, hey, Memphis and the Pac-12 are talking, and the Pac-12 is going to give X amount of money towards Memphis's buyout fee of, okay, yeah, certainly. Now we know that was nowhere near enough money to cover that.
In fact, I hope Dr. Ed Scott goes on a mission that he investigates it and he purges all those people from that department.
No, I mean, it is turning into an issue, certainly for the Tigers and where they're able to move to next. Well, what I could have done without today, it's the Red Sox trading Rafael Devers yesterday to the Giants. Now, it's not really more of I could have done without him being moved to the Giants because it felt like inevitable at the point, but it was the way that this relationship turned so sour.
He pouted his way out of town.
He did, and I think I'm fine with him doing it because I think some of the decisions around him and the Red Sox and everything could have been handled differently for him as a Gold Glove third baseman, a great third baseman, to kind of be forced out of his position. I don't mind him wanting to get moved, but obviously getting back a pair of pitchers, a couple prospects. I'm not a prospect guy. Everyone's saying this is not a great move for them. I guess we'll see.
I mentioned it earlier at the Masters. We know who won. At the PGA, we know who won. And sadly, we know who won yesterday at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, we do.
It was Oakmont more than J.J. Spawn.
It absolutely was. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to Oklahoma City for basketball.
Yeah, it's going to be fun tonight. Beam me there as well.
Shohei's going to be fun tonight.
Shohei's going to be fun.
Rocky's going for 2 in a row tonight.
Okay.
In D.C.
Wouldn't it be something if they could do it? I mean, just did it a couple weeks ago.
Would tonight be a good night for a Shams late night deal alert?
I'd be all for it. I mean, you give me a deal, I'm fine with it.
O's at Rays, Stroh's at A's.
Yeah.
Rays, A's, Stroh's, O's. That's a lot of O's.
It's a lot of O's in there. Not a ton of baseball, but I think the baseball we get is going to be fun tonight. Obviously, a lot of basketball with Game 5 tonight. That's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.